Got a sunburn to peel the daggers off your tongue. Young and dumb, I'm rotting like a bed sore in a cold case that's never gonna be more than scratching at the walls while you're waiting for a bullet to come. All along I've been treading in the deep end, throw my mirror in the cupboard for the weekend. Try and put together pieces while I'm dreaming, but nothing's adding up to a thing but a hole in the head.
Yes, they rob sold out to the merchant shelves. Minutes after they took out from the bottomless pit, my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? It's all I ever have. Redemption songs, redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Oh, have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. Got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? It's all I ever have. Redemption songs. Redemption songs. Redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Oh, have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. Got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? It's all I ever have. Redemption songs. Redemption songs. It's all I ever have. Redemption songs. Redemption songs. Redemption songs.
Hey, what's up, troops? Welcome to the Radical Candor Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Evely, the Magnanimous GenX'er Male. Back with you now on this 15th day of July 2024. I got a great show lined up for us today. What an eventful weekend, and there's all kinds of crap flying around out there. I got to do some housekeeping first because I know I put a post on the Veterans of Freedom website there, or the Facebook page over the weekend that indicated that the shooter in the attempted assassination of Donald Trump was a member of Antifa. That is not confirmed. They had the totally wrong guy kind of out there off the hop, but we have the right guy now, and we're going to dive into all of that. I got a little bit over my skis there. You know, I get pretty excited sometimes too, especially when it's Donald Trump. Okay, so I got Dacey backstage, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to do a great Muckraker here today. He's got some clips from some of what happened in Canada here over the weekend. He was at Blues Fest in Ottawa and all that stuff. So lots of great analysis and coverage coming your way here this evening. But before I dive into it, I'll go ahead and say good evening to everybody. Dwayne was the first one on the board over on Rumble saying, "Hey, gang, Jeff, what's up, brother? It's always great to have you with us, Dwayne." And Rob is on YouTube saying, "Good afternoon, evening, Jeff and Chris. Happy Muckraker Monday." Thank you very much. Thanks for being with us. Sharon says hello from Ontario, or as I like to call it, Ontariable, but it does have that one redeeming quality of the motorcycle riding. And Evelyn says hello. Hey, what's going on? Susan is here, says, "Hey, Jeff and Chris, my brothers." Hey to you, Susan. Thanks for being with us. Marion says, "Good evening, Jeff and everyone from Barrie, Ontario. Thanks for being with us." And she's also saying, "Shared, thank you very much. I could use all the top cover I can get because I am the worst guy for not sharing my own stuff." And Amanda's here saying, "Freedom." Right on. I appreciate your spirit. And Holly says, "Good evening, everyone." Cindy, our most faithful of all watchers, is saying, "Evening, Jeff. Hearts home from work, garden taken care of, and dinner in my belly. LOL. Life is good." Good to know. And it's always great to hear from you. And Terry says, "Good evening, Jeff and everyone." Terry, thanks for being with us, brother. And Tracy is here saying James Top gets me every time. Hero. Yeah, no kidding. It still gets me. I just sometimes I'm watching that during the intro and I'm just like, God, man, we've been through a hell of a lot here. What a historic period we're living through. And I mean, nothing like the current moment to really drive that point home. Am I right? Holy smokes. And Sandra said, "Oh, look, real men." I think they're talking about us there, Dacey. So I think we appreciate you, Sandra. Thank you. Pat says hi from Regina. And let me see. Stephen is in the house. Colleen is saying, hey, Jeff and folks. And Linda Orpel is walking. Freedom Honey, how you doing, brother? Freedom Honey sent me some new graphics for my my show there just before I went live. Holy smokes, great job, man. I really appreciate the help on that one. And Right Blend, aka Patriot Smoothie, is saying this is going to be a good show. Hell yeah, it's going to be a good show. I'm pretty stoked to do this. And all I can say is like, yeah, what a hell of a time to be living through. And am I ever pumped, that Donald Trump not only survived but responded like he did. And well, we'll get into it here. We'll see what the aftermath is kind of shaping up like here in a moment. And before I bring Dacey in, I will go ahead and do our quote for the day. This is Jeff Loeb. I don't really know anything about this guy. I kind of looked him up before we went online. He's like a comic book writer and a screenplay writer. He wrote Commando and a couple of other things anyway. So he did like some pretty famous stuff, but I mean, I just don't really care that much about fiction, I guess. So here's the quote, though. He says, "The measure of a man is not in how he gets knocked to the mat. It is how he gets up." Hell yeah. And here is our meme for the day. We're going to see how he got up here in a moment. But here's our meme for the day. This one's pretty good. The memes are great. This is the silver lining in all of this. The memes are spectacular. Throughout all of this, it's been glorious. And here we have breaking news. This is a CNN Chiron. It says Caesar injured in group hug, and it's the painting of Julius Caesar being stabbed by all of his supposed allies. Yeah. And also, this is another good one. It's another CNN headline. And we have Jesus gets stuck on stage during carpentry exhibit. And there he is, crucified to the cross. Yeah, that's about the state of affairs right now in terms of our media across the board. And here is Donald J. Trump. This is a tweet from 2012. This is 12 years ago. Holy smokes. And he says, when you're quote unquote hot, the lowlifes really shoot at you. And then they try hitting from every angle. Never let the bastards get you down. Hell yeah. And speaking of never letting the bastards get you down here. Oh, you know what? Before I get into that, I think I'll bring our guest in here, Dacey. Dacey, I was just gonna
just go ahead, Gareth.
Leave you backstage there, man. I'm pretty stoked to get this off the ground. How you doing, brother? It's great to see you.
Doing good, man. Just made it back here in time. We were down at Trudeau's office, man. Storm blew in though, so yeah, wild time. Those memes aren't far off from what CNN was really posting too lately. So, man, what an incredible wild time.
Yeah, I have some of the headlines lined up for us here, and we're going to go through it, and some of the reaction from the left and the right, and I think we're still kind of sifting through this thing right now. But it's been a few days, and what I always say is, wait 3 days before you kind of arrive at any conclusion. And I should probably follow my own advice more often. But yeah, I think we're in a place where we can maybe say some sensible things about this. But I guess you've been tracking it all weekend, and I was watching some of your videos from on the Hill, so. It sounds like the thing is that I want to show a little bit about how this is impacting Canada. Would you say that this is
100%? And that was one of the things I was thinking when I reached out to you. Like, obviously having a veteran's perspective and all the things that you can bring to the table and in the analysis is great. But I wanted to add is the escalating violence that I've experienced, that we've now seen again. We regularly have violence on our street, and the people perpetrating the violence, yes, they're responsible. But this rhetoric that we've heard from this other side, we're constantly being accused of being, of having violent rhetoric, of our words being dangerous, of all these things. Well, it's in reality the complete opposite. And their violent rhetoric and their extreme rhetoric has literally led to this. So I want to highlight that there's violence going on. It's hitting our streets. It's always the case that what happens in America does trickle down here, obviously. But we have real violence going on in our street as we speak. And it's all coming from the same roots, I think.
Yeah, as in basically coming from the left, I think.
Yes.
Is what you're kind of tiptoeing around
Yeah.
there. But don't mean to put words in your mouth. Don't let me do that. But before we get into all of that, I want to show that I was looking at some of the clips, and I think you got a really good point. And this was something that I really wanted to dive into anyway. So I'm glad we got you here. Before we do that, here is a time. It's a 4:29 video, but it's pretty good. It's a side by side of the video. You've got Trump over here on the right. Apologies to anybody who's just listening, but you're just going to have to suck it up for this one. And we got Trump over here on the right side of the screen, and on the left side of the screen, this is the scene where we actually see the shooter like climbing up on the roof, right? Like people witness this. There's video all over the place. And okay, so I think this is probably the best I can do in terms of just kind of condensing a lot of this different video into one. Somebody did a good side-by-side here with the split screen. So let's check it out.
He was doing his job. I wouldn't even be doing this. I'd be at some beautiful place with a gorgeous ocean. The
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down. You see him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
And still I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a Senate.
What's happening?
And to make sure we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America better than ever before. We're going to make it.
Yeah, look.
And it's
There he
not
is.
easy, because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here. And it's much tougher than if it happened. We had the strongest border ever. In recorded history, we had the best border. In fact, if they could ever put up a chart, I don't know if they can do. Do you guys have access to that chart that I love so much? You don't mind if I go off teleprompter, do you? Because these teleprompters are so damn boring. I try and explain that. Oh, there's it. Wow. You guys are doing it. They're getting better with time. My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow on the bottom. See the big red arrow, right? So that's when I left office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something,
I hope he's turning this way. Be careful, guys.
We got breaking news. Coming in. Shots fired. Seems to be shots fired at the Trump rally.
Just on the right side of the screen, this is where the guy in the crowd was shot. I believe this is a firefighter.
Is he okay?
And just like Colleen is saying, she's saying he threw his body over his wife and daughter after he threw them down, then took the bullet. What an amazing hero. And he was the fire chief, is what she's saying. Yeah, that is my understanding as well, is that this guy was shielding his family from the array of bullets being fired at them. And he's a firefighter. So
We need to go live right now. We are live right now at the Trump rally. We don't know if President Trump has been shot. We know he hit the ground. We do not know if President Trump has been shot. He's up. He's up. Shots are still continuing to be fired. He's giving a thumbs up, everybody. He's giving a thumbs up.
Fight.
Breaking news right now. This is Vanessa Broussard. Reporting to you live from Butler, Pennsylvania. We hear shots fired at the rally not 10 to 15 minutes after President Trump arrived. He hit the ground. Unheard of yet if he has been hit by gunfire. Secret Service quickly erupted.
You can see the guy
there.
there.
The snipers on the building behind the.
I think they hit him because the guy he looks dead.
Well, there you go, folks. Dacey, you got any thoughts on this one?
Man, so many. That so much happened in that video. Like, absolutely so much. I don't even know where you want to start, really. I mean, at the very end there, we need to talk about so many things. The female officer that couldn't even holster her weapon at the end. You see that she's down lower than him and his whole head's exposed. Man, there's so many things. Maybe we just kind of start at the start and work our way through it.
I'll start it. The one thing that I want to talk about first was the incredible fist pump. That's what Susan is here saying. It's the fist pumps for me. And I was like, yeah. And he's saying, fight. I was like, oh my God. Like, that is one loving patriot if I've ever seen one. And, it's just phenomenal. Like, I get all emotional when I see it. And it's like he's fighting for the whole world, and man, oh man, it's just unbelievable what the guy has, the amount of abuse the guy has been able to take. They just shot at him. They just tried to kill him and he got right back up and kept fighting. I've never seen anything like it.
It's one of the most incredible moments I've ever seen. Just talking about it now, I literally have my hair standing up and I have goosebumps. When I first saw it, it was, I don't even know how to put it into words. That fight, and the whole sequence leading up to it, like, I guess maybe they were communicating and whatnot, but like he told him, I guess there's always probably a play between the detail and the asset or whatever you want to call it. But he needed to do that. He had his chance. And like you say, I mean, they have been coming at this guy every which possible way for since he started, right? You get Russian collusion, you get case after case of absolute nonsense, lawfare coming after him. They've come after his money, they've come after his properties, they slandered him, they've lied about him for forever, tried to ruin his reputation. None of that worked. None of it worked. Now they tried to take his life, and he's the one standing there pumping his fist, saying "fight" as people are screaming, Trump, and God bless America and all this incredible stuff. It's unbelievable, really.
It's just like that indomitable American spirit, that American grit, like personified, in Donald Trump. And the reason I get so excited about it is just because I think that, the thing is, whatever is at the top, whatever is in leadership, that they're the ones setting the tone. And that is where the culture kind of trickles down from, is from the people at the top. For him to show that much grit, I mean, I think this is going to be a really good trickle down for the rest of us. So
that's actually that's a great point you make about the trickle down too. So when you have someone like Trump, and think of the things that it's instilling in you and anyone that sees this, and the type of people that will latch onto that and follow that, it's good, right? But then you get the leadership from the other side, who have literally been calling this man a Nazi for the last 10 years or whatever, every possible thing in the book. There's all kinds of posts that have been put together, but you can see posts from Biden particularly, who's called him every name in the book, a threat to democracy, misquoted him, said that there'll be a bloodbath if he gets elected, and that list goes on and on. But people have been lying and calling this man all these things, right? That's coming from the top down. What do you expect anybody that follows and supports these politicians that use that extreme rhetoric? What do you expect them to do?
And that's exactly what I mean when I say they're sowing chaos, right? The people at the top, like the Bidens and the Harrises and those people that are saying these things out there, like they know what they're doing. A certain segment of the population is going to believe them. And if you believe that Donald Trump is literally Hitler, then beliefs inspire actions. Like, we all act on our beliefs. We don't act on the things that we don't believe. If you believe that you're going to die tomorrow, then you're probably going to behave much differently than if you didn't believe that, just for an obvious example. But yeah, this is what they're doing, is they're sowing this chaos. And I think that they're probably really appealing to people that probably aren't that stable to begin with, but they understand all of this.
Yeah, and we have a problem with this rhetoric as well from our leadership, from Justin Trudeau. He's come out, during the convoy and during COVID, he called people all kinds of things, but his rhetoric has continued. In fact, he often brings up Donald Trump and likens Pierre to, and brings up MAGA style politics, and says that anyone that is basically anything right of Stalin, but is a fascist and a Nazi and all these things. And these do have real world consequences. We had all kinds of uproar about the road rage scare tour coming through town with Jeremy McKenzie. People were freaking out. There was warnings going out. Community groups were absolutely up in arms. And during that time, the entire downtown core ended up plastered with stickers that said, "Kill Nazis. If I see a Nazi, I'll brick a Nazi. Down with fascists." All this kind of violent, extreme rhetoric threatening to kill Nazis, when we know that the people espousing this stuff consider each and every one of us a Nazi. So they're not just saying kill Nazis in theory, which, I mean, who doesn't agree with, nobody likes Nazis, really, right? Same, or fascists for that matter. But when they're saying kill Nazis and kill fascists and these things, they're not talking about actual ones. They're talking about you and me and anybody who disagrees with them, even the slightest, ideologically.
Yeah. Yeah, well said, brother. And Terry is pointing out that Dan Bongino said most of the security was Homeland Security and not Secret Service. Well, that is an interesting point, and I really appreciate Dan Bongino's takes. I'm a regular listener of his podcast. He's a Secret Service guy, actually retired Secret Service, very knowledgeable when it comes to the body politic in the United States. And he wrote a book called Follow the Money about the Hunter Biden fiasco there in Ukraine that is very detailed and very telling, I think. But I'm going to go move to this here. Here was the interview. Some guy was saying they could see him crawling up onto the roof beforehand, and we saw that in the video here. So this was the initial reporting from the scene.
Someone who was here, you weren't inside the event, nope, but you were just outside. Tell us what you saw.
So we had a party here all day. You can see behind us at the Brinkles Farming Greenhouse here. We had a party. And we all decided, hey, when we hear Trump up there, we're going to walk up through the field, stand by the trees up there under the shade, and watch and listen to the rally, right? We couldn't see them, but we could hear them. So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, But we noticed the guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, and, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him up the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for 2 or 3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots rang out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service?
We were telling the police. We were pointing at them for the Secret Service. They were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
Could they see
binoculars?
Could they see him?
Probably not, because the roof, the way that the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? I mean, this is...
Yeah, pretty good question. And I like...
I see him, man. You can see the guy there. I think they hit him because the guy he looks dead. Lá em cima, né? Aqui, ó.
So there he is after he gets shot. And here was another one. This looks like kind of a bullet hole here in Trump's chest. Like he would be wearing a vest in this situation. So some people were kind of saying that it might have been the teleprompter glass that cut his ear, but that does not appear to be the case at all. It looks like he's got a bullet hole in his chest here in his jacket, and also the wound to his ear was caused by a bullet. So just in case anybody's doubting that there were bullets involved out there, here's a hole in the guy's chest. So
I think I've also seen footage, with 4K, 120 frames a second or whatever that they got now. There was a frame too that isolated it, and there was a streak where what appeared to be the bullet whizzing right by his head. And I mean, Trump did when he did make a statement, talked about hearing the sound of it. I've never had a bullet come that close to me. Could only imagine what a round like that moving at that speed coming right through you. I mean, that would probably get quite the sound coming by you.
It's more like a few than a bang. The bang is really on the shooter's end, but on
what about are those rounds supersonic? Does that make any difference? Or
I
don't know a lot about this stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that makes any difference or not. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that they will travel faster than the sound. So like when the bullet actually travels by, it just sounds like something whizzing by. You don't really hear the sound. Terry's saying it snaps. It snaps as you go by. And Right Blend is saying he said it was like the biggest mosquito bumblebee he had ever heard. That sounds about right. Okay, so here is another one. So this is what we know about the shooter now. This is what's come out so far. Prem Thacker, whoever this says FBI officially identifies the shooter as Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20, of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. Voter records show Crooks was a registered Republican who made one singular $15 donation to a liberal PAC on January 20th, 2021, Biden's inauguration day. So that's interesting. We can see that he is right here. It shows his voter registration. He's registered as a Republican. But at the same time, he donated to Act Blue, which is hard left. And he donated to them on Biden's inauguration day, the 20th of January, 2021. So I don't know. What are we to make of that, Dacey? I think. I was actually talking to Right Blend about this earlier today, and his explanation. He knows a lot. He knows these American politics a lot better than me. But that state, Pennsylvania, is one of these states that's a battleground state. And there's lots of reasons why someone might have a membership to the Republican Party. If you want to, say, vote in the primary and try to vote to keep, in theory, Trump out or any number of things, you would want to have a membership and then you would get to vote. And that's not uncommon in some of these states or anywhere. I mean, a similar thing happens in Canada too, where people want to join to perhaps vote in leadership or whatever. So I don't think that's necessarily telling that he was a member. It's not uncommon for that to happen. And the fact that he donated actual money to Biden on inauguration day, I mean, take that for what you will, but it seems like probably he's a supporter that way. Yeah, I think it's where he puts his money that kind of matters there. It's it's not a lot of money. He's only a very young guy, but he donated to the leftist PAC, and I think that shows a hell of a lot more commitment than just becoming a Republican, because like you said, it could have been the case that he was hoping to vote in the primary to keep Trump out. Now it's too late for that. He wouldn't have been able to register in time to keep Trump out. But I think that is a strategy, like you said. Like it's kind of like underhanded, I guess. But you go in as a Republican and try to vote for the guy you hate the least. So I think that was probably what he was up to. And here is Matt Walsh from Daily Wider, and he's got a take here. He says, here's the official story so far. A random 20-year-old acting completely alone walked within 150 yards of a presidential campaign rally with a rifle, climbed onto a rooftop in full view of Secret Service snipers, set up his shot, and fired without anyone intervening and with no help from anyone. This 20-year-old is also so politically radical as to attempt an assassination, and yet not radical enough to have ever posted any political writings or commentary on any social media site ever in his life. He also wrote no manifesto and left behind no indication about why he did it. His last and only political act before attempting to kill the Republican candidate was to register as a Republican. You must believe this and ask no questions about it, or else you are a conspiracy theorist. And one thing we know about assassination attempts is that there's never any conspiracy involved. Well, in a sense, there always is. But in the other sense, like quote unquote conspiracy sense, there isn't really. It's never as sexy as I think people make it out to be. JFK's assassination was actually an accident, as is my understanding. Actually, Secret Service killed him by accident. Negligent discharge from the AR-15 223 round hit him in the back of the head from the passenger side, rear seat, follow-on car. Agent George Hickey. Anyway, the book is called Mortal Error, and that's usually what happens. Is it's overwhelmingly ineptitude. But that's something that I preach around here quite a bit, is Hanlon's razor. Never attribute malice where ineptitude will suffice to explain human behavior. So, but here is somebody else saying, it says, he also tried to join his school's rifle club, but his aim was so bad he hit one wall instead of one target with he hit one wall instead of the one with the target. So yeah, definitely the man to attempt a hit job. And that is kind of the thing if we're looking at a hit job here. So here's a pretty good this is the video of the aerial shot, I guess, of the grounds that we're talking about. So let's check this out. It's about 2 minutes long. Okay, so the base of it here is that this is like within 150 meters. I think they said it was about 130 actually. The rooftop from which he was firing was only about 130 to 150 meters away from where Trump was standing. And I guess the question is, like, how did he ever get up there with the Secret Service on the job? And I guess that's a little bit of what we're here to unpack. And Smoothie was just asking something there. He was saying, what do you think of the reports that the parents are both registered Democrats making $310,000 US a year, with at least one being a psychologist? Credible? I'd say that probably I wouldn't doubt that. I didn't actually come into that myself in my digging around today. But Dacey, do you know about that one?
I mean, I discussed it with Smoothie, so we're getting our information from the same place. But I have seen and heard that from a few people. Be interesting. I mean, from what I was heard, they're well off. And psychologists, I heard also that maybe only one was. So that shouldn't be too hard for people to confirm, though. There's so much information that comes out at first, but that would be interesting. We'll have to wait and see. Like, it's such a barrage of information. Looking at that, so you were saying like about 130 yards. From what I understood, it was an AR style rifle and probably a 5.56 round.
Yeah, I think so. That seems to be what people are saying right now, anyway. But
so I mean, that's so 130 yards. I mean, an elevated position with a clear line of sight. Shouldn't be a terribly difficult shot, I wouldn't think.
No, I think most people could probably hit a loony from that. If you have any practice with like a long rifle, 5.56, you should be able to hit a loony from about that far away, if you've got any practice at all. So I did hear
what I did hear a few things, right? So there's a lot of you were mentioning about conspiracies and maybe perhaps breakdowns, or maybe some type of, even if it's subconscious, willful kind of dereliction, maybe go on, but as opposed to a master conspiracy. There's a lot of talk. There was talk that so these people were pointed out. I also heard that the snipers got eyes on this guy before he shot. And the way the series of bullets goes off leads me to maybe think that was the case. So you kind of hear one round go off, it seemed, then like a series maybe of rounds, 3 or 4, and then the next set of rounds, which I imagine is the return fire. So there was like round, the one probably that hit his ear, then quickly, oh crap, I missed, a burst of shots, and then probably the return fire. I have seen some reports that an officer went up that ladder at some point, so just before the shooting started, and then the alleged assassin trained his rifle. He turned over and trained his rifle towards the guy, and the guy went back down the ladder, and then the shots started very shortly after that, which maybe that is the case, and that's perhaps why he missed. Maybe he took his eyes off the target, the adrenaline started going, and he rushed his shot. And then it took a bit of time for the sniper. Once he started firing, that obviously the snipers returned fire, but that didn't seem to happen until after. So that's interesting. And then so there's also there's only in that video that you just showed, there's only a few roofs there. There's not too many elevated positions. There's no reason that shouldn't have been secured ahead of time and continuously secured the whole time. And if there's only 3 or 4 roofs or elevated positions, how are you going to miss a guy on one of these? There's absolutely no reason that should be missed.
No, and I'm just showing the image here now, and we can see that here he is, I'll say 140 meters away on this rooftop over here. And like the witness was saying, it's got a peak on it, and he was behind the peak, so they couldn't quite see him from over here. Probably that was what the witness was saying anyway. But there are rooftops kind of all within this radius of about 130 to 150 meters. You've got multiple rooftops all around here. So I guess the big question right now is, how is it that these rooftops weren't secured?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I'm not sure if you saw Dallas Alexander, the former JTF sniper. He put out his thoughts about it, and kind of was saying a lot of, I was saying a lot of similar things. That one's definitely worth listening to. He kind of pointed out some stuff, and so we can watch that after then.
Yeah, I'm going to show it here in just a minute. But before we get there, here's Colin Rugg, and he says, Matthew Thomas Crooks was reportedly rejected from his school's rifle team because of his bad shot and his off-color jokes, according to the New York Post. Former classmates claim he tried out for the rifle team at Bethel Park High School. The school's range was 50 feet long and 21 feet wide. The Post says he once shot from the 7th lane, which was the closest to the right wall, and missed so bad that he hit the left wall. Quote, he tried out and was such a comically bad shot that he was unable to make the team and left after the first day, close quote, a classmate said. Okay, I think there are a couple of quotes in this video, and it's only about 50 seconds long.
I mean, he would sit alone at lunch. I mean, he was just an outcast, and you know how kids are nowadays, so they're going to see someone like that, and they're going to target him because they think it's funny or whatever. So it's the best way I can describe it. And it's honestly kind of sad. I don't want to say this is what provoked it, but you never know.
Yeah. You said he was a loner?
Yeah. I want to say he was a loner more because he was quiet, but he was just bullied. He was bullied so much. So much.
This was high school.
Yeah.
What did they, do you remember at all what they said to him or called him?
No. He was just made fun of, I guess, for the way he dressed or his appearance. I mean, he would sit alone.
So that's what his classmates are saying about him. And then there's this. So Matt Wallace is putting out, they're breaking the ties discovered between BlackRock and Trump shooter Thomas Matthew Crooks featured in their programming. He allegedly shot from Building 3. This was all planned. And he's just showing there's this classroom, I guess. And this is a BlackRock commercial. I think somebody took it's a video that they did, and apparently this kid actually appeared in a BlackRock commercial. So what do we make of all that, do you think, Dacey?
Yeah, I mean, if that is him, first of all, it could be in a BlackRock commercial. That seems like quite the coincidence. I mean, I'd have to look into that more. But you see a lot of this kind of speculation, and this whole world is a stage thing. Okay, yes, I get that. The world is a stage. But this is not Trump wasn't sitting there with an apple on his head waiting for someone to shoot it off. This happened. someone tried to shoot him, and the way I say it was by God's hand intervened. Basically, he got hit in the ear. It's not a thing where perhaps there was some stuff going on, perhaps there was some conspiracy, perhaps someone purposely dropped the ball, perhaps something's happened, but this wasn't a setup, as in like it's all planned, it's all to trick. I don't believe that for a second, and I think that kind of attitude, honestly, is somewhat dangerous. Like people have gone so far, and I go into these things deep too, but people go in so far and so deep, and they're so used to not trusting anything that they literally think everything is the opposite of what it is, even with overwhelming evidence sometimes.
Yeah, I think they kind of leap to those conclusions too. There's some motivated reasoning behind that. Can't say that I blame them under the circumstances, especially in light of what we've been through in just the last few years, even the last 10 years since the Trump phenomenon first started. But that seems to be the question that everybody's asking. And here's one person asking it on Twitter, and they say, forgive me if I'm out of line here, but how can Trump fans see the shooter before the Secret Service did? Is it even possible for the Secret Service to be so stupid that they left Trump so exposed from an obvious rooftop vantage point in clear line of sight at such a close range? Intentional. So that's an example, I think, of what a lot of people are saying is they're coming to the conclusion that there's no way this could have happened unless it was intentional. Here
it's possible. I think maybe too, one thing before we go into that video, my misogyny might start showing, but the head of the Secret Service now is a woman, and she is a diehard diversity, inclusion, and equity diehard. She came out not all that long ago. She was insisting we need 30% women in the Secret Service. We need this and that. And I mean, into diversity instead of mediocrity, we know.
Oh, Casey, your audio is cutting there a little bit.
Two examples in the videos. Oh yeah, I had a call come in. Am I back?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. I had a call come in. So we've seen when we go and choose based on these immutable characteristics as opposed to mediocrity, what happens? Or we had the woman that was down. There's one shot. So I think there was two female Secret Service agents there. At first glance, one of the glaring things is that they're both half his height and cannot block or stop a bullet, even if they were standing right in front of him. There's a shot of one of them in behind. It looks like she's ducking and taking cover behind the group of them as opposed to in there. And I believe it's the same woman we see later on trying to holster her weapon for about 5 or 10 seconds before temporarily giving up and then going to holster it again and still having trouble. And at that time, Trump was exposed. There's a person in front of him, but half his body's there. And a guy's like on top of him and puts his hand over. So, I mean, I don't mean this as an attack on women, but that seems to be a very glaring issue there. And if those are the frontline people, I imagine there's all kinds of people in roles that aren't necessarily frontline roles that are not necessarily there because they earned it. They might be there because they just checked the right box. So I think that's something that definitely needs to be kept in mind.
Yeah. Susan's here was just saying the woman should be at least close to 6 feet tall and fit. That used to be the standard for the RCMP, is you had to be 6 feet tall. And I think they got rid of that because it discriminated against women or whatever. That would have been like the late 90s they did that. That was political correctness, now morphed into full-blown wokeness. But before we get into all of that, let's get Dallas's take here, because we had this, he's a veteran. Dallas Alexander is a retired JTF2 sniper and way badass veteran than I could ever be. And he is about as badass a sniper as you're ever going to hear from. So here's his take on the situation.
Yo, good morning. I keep getting asked about this, so I'm just gonna let you know my opinion. I am talking about the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. And I know everyone's gonna have some crazy opinion. Everyone's gonna have a different opinion. It's gonna be very wild for the next little while, but just if you don't know me or are new to this page, I spent just about 17 years in the military, just about 14 of which were at Tier 1 Special Operations Unit called JTF2. Our sniper team has the world record for the longest confirmed sniper kill. And a huge part of our job while I was there and while I was a sniper was doing close protection for VIPs up to and including the Prime Minister when he would go to dangerous countries like Iraq or Afghanistan. We would be in charge of that security. So I'm very familiar with the layout of these types of things and what the jobs should be. And yesterday, what happened, I have no doubts in my mind that the shooter had help from somewhere within an agency, an organization, or the government. The second I saw that aerial photo of what they were saying happened, it immediately made no sense to me. You cannot, in broad daylight, get onto a rooftop within, it looked like maybe a couple hundred yards, if that. You can't get into that position with a gun when there's a president speaking. It cannot be done. It's not like, you don't even need to be a sniper to know that it's the most fucking obvious thing, an obvious place in the whole world. You could be a 7th grader. Like, what do we need to do for security here? Well, let's look at these rooftops that are almost within zeroing range of a rifle. So it's something happened, and I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. It's too obvious that this guy had help getting there. So whether it's someone turned a blind eye or it was strategically planned, I mean, it had to be planned to a certain level because.
Yeah. Okay. So that is his take, is that there's no way that this happens without some help from the inside. And he is very experienced. Like he said, he does these kind of details overseas with JTF2. And it looks like they didn't even cover the basics on this one. So what are we to make of that?
Yeah. And I mean, that seems to be everyone's initial reaction. Like, how could this possibly have happened? Right. So, there's a lot of different things that could be involved in a conspiracy. It could be one person. And you would think that to do anything like this, it's going to take some people involved. You got to get there. He got up on the roof. He had the rifle. Seems maybe it was stolen from his parents. He got a ladder. He got up there, and there was a whole lot of people who didn't do their jobs in that case, or failed in some capacity. Right, like there can be in aviation and in accidents like that. They talk a lot about a Swiss cheese model, right, where all these different holes have to line up. It is possible, I guess, that happened there. But I think there probably is a good chance that there was someone helping in some capacity. And there's people at all levels of government that are corrupt beyond belief. The CIA, man, without even getting into the CIA, I mean, legitimate agencies. Then you got the CIA and all these clandestine type agencies. Who knows what the heck could really have happened? But it seems
Stephen
like a lot had to go wrong.
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
I don't see Hillary's fingers in this one yet, but just watch.
Jeff and I, neither of us are suicidal. And Jeff, I don't think I shouldn't speak for you, but I am not.
No, I am not. Well, relatively speaking. Okay.
Yeah.
Here is The Guardian, and title is "What We Know About the Shooting at Donald Trump Rally. A suspected shooter and one rally attendee dead, says Butler County District Attorney." Here's what else we know about the situation. This is pretty good because it's just like a list of bullets. So I'm going to blast through these really quick. Trump was speaking at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, when loud noises we heard in the crowd around 6:13 p.m. Trump appeared to have been struck by something in the area of his right ear as he was speaking, and the video shows him quickly clutching his ear and then ducking down to the ground as security agents and others leap to his aid. One spectator was killed and at least 2 were injured. Trump stood up with blood on the side of his face and appeared to be saying "fight, fight" while pumping his fist. Trump was then quickly escorted from the stage to his vehicle. The rally location is now an active crime scene. The FBI has taken over the investigation. Trump's team and the Secret Service confirmed that he was "quote unquote" fine and being checked at the local medical facility. Trump later posted a statement on Truth Social saying he was hit by a "quote bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear," close quote. The Butler County District Attorney confirmed that the suspected shooter and one rally attendee were dead. One person at the rally was in serious condition. The Secret Service later said 2 people were critically injured. The shooting is being investigated as an attempted assassination. The FBI later named Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20, of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, as the "quote unquote" subject involved in the shooting. He is registered on voter records as a Republican, but he also donated $15 to a liberal voter group. The Secret Service shared more details on the shooter's position and confirmed that the shooter was killed by the Secret Service. ABC News reported that law enforcement officials said the suspect was perched on a rooftop and used an AR-style rifle. The Republican-controlled House of Representatives summoned the director of the Secret Service, Kimberly Shetley to testify at an oversight committee hearing scheduled for 22 July. The President, Joe Biden, said, quote, everybody must condemn political violence, close quote, in a speech shortly after the shooting. The White House later said President Trump had spoken. Biden is traveling back to the White House. Trump is in New Jersey. So that's the long and short of it there, folks. They're saying like it was an AR style rifle. I don't know that we've confirmed that it's an AR-15. Very well could be. The left is saying it's an AR-15, but they always say that. They said it was an AR-15 in the Pulse nightclub shooting, and it was a 6-hour because they really want after that AR-15, only because it's the most popular rifle in America. So if they can ban that, then they'll get rid of most of the rifles, or plurality of the rifles, I guess.
Yeah, they don't know a single thing about guns really when they talk about this stuff, right? They're, oh, that's the scary one, and like they have no idea.
No, none whatsoever. Speaking of not knowing anything about guns, here's Libs of TikTok. Instead of protecting him, the same one who couldn't holster her gun. Who is she? She needs to resign or be fired. And Dacey, I think you mentioned this there just a minute ago. This really does look like she is hiding down behind the president instead of diving on top of him with the other agents here. And here she is struggling to holster her gun, just like you said. So I think there are a few legitimate questions around his detail as well, and levels of professionalism and competence, like you were saying, right?
Yeah, 100%. I'll say the isolated still of her ducking. I guess there's a slim possibility that it just caught the exact wrong time. But she's way behind the group that's huddled on top of him, and she literally looks like she's ducking for cover. In the video, it's actually ridiculous. You can see her. I mean, anybody who has worked with a sidearm, like, man, you should be able to get your gun into your holster and out without even thinking about it under any circumstance. Like, that's something that gets repeated thousands of times. And she struggled to get it in, couldn't get it in, struggled again, kind of brought her gun back up, and then she finally gets it in after like 3 or 4 times on the second try. And in that time, she's half as tall as the president. He's kind of exposed. There's men trying to block it. She's fiddling with her gun. The whole thing looks like it's out of Keystone Cops.
Well, let's get a look. Here's about 37 seconds of that video here. So we'll get a look at what Dacey's talking about. And those of you who are viewing will get a much better appreciation of the situation there on the ground. Can you not see the video?
For me, you're frozen and I can't see video. But if you can see it, that's fine.
Okay. Here we go.
I can hear you.
Let me know in the comments, guys. Okay, everybody's saying they can't see my video. I am not sure what's going on there, guys.
Yeah,
Let me see if I can...
You kind of unfroze now. Like, I had you frozen. It looked like you were picking your nose, man, and then nothing else. Oh man.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I hope it's not my internet connection. Black screen beside the two of you. Okay. Just audio. All right, guys. I'll try this again. Let me just, I took it out of studio. I'll put it back in.
Yeah, okay. Coming back.
This is Cat Canada. She says, women should not be in these positions. I'm glad the screen froze while I was picking my nose. That's awesome. Okay.
I still don't see anything. Just I see you, but not the screen. Sure.
Okay, I'll hit play and see what happens. Any good?
No, I can't see it. No.
Okay, let me try it like this. No video?
No, man. We may be out of luck.
All right. I think I will forego that one, but you get the idea, I think, just from what Dacey was saying. Like,
oh, here, it's back. There, we got it now.
Okay, so even these other two women here, like, they look like they probably got something on the ball, but this one in particular, like, this is clearly a diversity hire. So let's just see how she behaves during this this incident.
Still frozen for me.
And it's still frozen for you. Okay,
Yep.
so
Yeah, the video. Yeah.
she's kind of this one doesn't really seem to know what she's doing. She's kind of looking around at the other agents and just watching them and trying to figure out like how she can mimic their behavior in order to appear somewhat competent, to feign her competence. But I think it's pretty it's pretty obvious to anybody who's viewing it with any kind of cynicism or a critical eye. Here's another clip of this same one. Let me know if you can see this.
Cause you had a bad day, you take one down, you sing a sad song just to turn it around. You said you don't know, you tell me don't lie, you were gonna smile and you go for a ride. You had a bad day, you see what you like. Cause you had a bad day, you take one down, you sing a sad song just to turn it around.
Okay, so she's not having a good day.
I couldn't see the video, and you're basically frozen or pixelated most of the time now.
Okay,
I don't really know what's going on. Could be an internet connection on your end.
Yeah. I'm kind of messing around with it here a little bit with my setup. Oh, no video still. That's what some of that folks say. Something.
Yeah,
wrong with
you're basically frozen. I have your audio, but you're either frozen or pixelated basically the whole time.
Okay. Let me see if maybe. Let me stop my.
Oh, hey folks, just me now. Just having some technical difficulties. Might be an internet problem. Hopefully you can get it sorted out. How's everyone doing? I can't see the comments either on here, so I'm just flying solo for a minute.
Cause you had a bad day, you take one
Okay. We're getting there. There's the female officer. Yeah.
Cause you had a bad.
I think we're getting closer, folks. Bear with us. All right, we got another post here.
To expand hiring, they're aiming to have 30% women recruits by 2030 and even allowed YouTube influencer Michelle Carre to train with agents.
But I'm very conscious as I sit in this chair now.
So that video that was just playing, that was what I was speaking about earlier. That's the director of the Secret Service, female director now. She's a big DEI proponent. She wanted to have a minimum of 30% of Secret Service to be female. Whatever. Throw standards out the window. Doesn't matter if you're tall enough, fast enough, strong enough. Forget all that.
Okay, guys. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're clear again too.
It just kicked me out of the studio and everything. So
all of a sudden I was in there alone.
Thanks for covering me off. It's a good thing you came in today.
No, man.
Holy smokes, that could have been a disaster. Not sure what's going on here, folks. Probably all kinds of bugs. It's the deep state. They're hacking me again. Okay. Here's CBS News.
They're aiming to have 30% women recruits by 2030 and even allowed YouTube influencer Michelle Carre to train with agents.
But I'm very conscious as I sit in this chair now of making sure that we need to attract diverse candidates and ensure that we are developing and giving opportunities to everybody in our workforce, and particularly women.
To expand hiring, they're aiming to have 30% women recruits by 2030 and even allowed YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, help us.
There
it is. Second try. Look at her here.
And take a look at what happened.
There she is over there.
Yeah. Behind the stage.
Look what happened.
Yeah, she does look like she's kind of cowering behind the president there.
Does she know that behind concealment, she can't find cover, so she'll just conceal herself behind the pile of bodies? Absolutely ridiculous.
Uh,
Yeah. Well, and that 30%, I mean, like, listen, we're going to have a YouTube woman influencer come, like, cool, I guess. Does somebody want to come let me train with whoever? Like, I could use some training.
YouTube influencer, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
right.
these are not serious people. And we saw the head of the Secret Service here. And I'm going to point out, like, this is the same problem across the board. Like, it's the boomer generation. This is the sexual revolution, like, come to fruition, right? So they think they prosecuted this, sexual revolution back in the 70s. Having been grown up in the 80s, I only remember it as the AIDS epidemic. But this is retribution for all those years of keeping women down. So they're doing all this stuff, and they believe these kinds of things with a kind of religious fervor that you just can't talk standards with them anymore. It's this religion that they formed, around Marxism, essentially, which is a religion. If you try to bring standards or statistics or anything like that into the conversation, then you're just branded a heretic and excommunicated from the cult.
Yeah, I know we can't have any statistics or facts in here getting in the way. Absolutely not.
Yeah, no kidding. Here is The Guardian, and they say ex-Secret Service agents say massive realignment warranted after Trump rally shooting. One law enforcement official attributes assassination attempt to former president to fundamental security failure. Former U.S. Secret Service agents spent the early aftermath of what authorities say was an attempt to assassinate Donald Trump at a political rally on Saturday, speaking out about what might have prevented their previous employer from failing to halt the shooter before he opened fire. Evie Pomporus, who served in the Secret Service's Presidential Protective Division during Barack Obama's time in the White House, told NBC Today show that rallies like this one, like the one this weekend in a relatively exposed rural tract of Butler County, Pennsylvania, quote, are the most anxious you'll ever going to be as an agent because you're trying to secure all of it, close quote. In her remarks Sunday, the author and journalist suggested local and state level law enforcement officers who collaborate with the Secret Service for such events were likely the first line of defense in the area surrounding the Trump rally venue, a position reportedly confirmed by agency spokesperson Anthony Guglielmi. The Saturday's rally, a man with a rifle was able to climb atop the roof of a bottle manufacturing plant and fire several shots at the former president at a distance of only about 165 yards. So I was saying about 150 meters. So multiple people who were outside the venue but near that building listened to Trump campaign for another presidency, reported trying to point out the government to police officers stationed there. But Pomporus said a key question to answer moving forward is to determine whether those people were directly speaking to officers or if they were unsuccessfully trying to get their attention. When you're doing these rallies, you're looking at thousands of people, said Pomporus, who surmised the shooter waited to get into position until after Trump began speaking and commanded the bulk of rally goers' attention. Quote, how much law enforcement do you have? Do you have one law enforcement official to 1,000 attendees? Are they able to get that person's attention? Close quote. The Associated Press said it was told by law enforcement officials that a local police officer tried to confront Crooks on the roof before the shooting. But the officer retreated after Crooks pointed a rifle at him, and within a moment, the attacker fired toward Trump. One ex-commander of the Long Beach, California Police Department's Special Tactics team told NBC it was, quote, a fundamental security failure, close quote, to allow someone on a rooftop so near the rally Saturday. Pomporus also said government officials are in store for difficult conversations about whether they provide enough resources to adequately secure such gatherings. She said it wasn't uncommon for her to solicit a certain number of agents to protect a certain occasion, only to be told there wasn't enough money or manpower to fulfill that request. Quote, it all costs something, close quote, she said. Once the shooting erupted, former Secret Service agent Jeff James said largely responded appropriately with respect to shielding Trump, who had a bullet wound to the tip of his right ear. Counter snipers fired back at the gunman, mortally wounding him after he apparently killed one spectator and badly injured two others. Agents quickly draped themselves over Trump as he fell on the stage, preparing to put themselves between the former president and any other gunshots at him. Okay, I'm not going to read the whole thing. But one thing that they seem to be zeroing in on here is the local law enforcement. So they have Secret Service here. I went and I watched this interview with this lady, and she kind of explained it like Secret Service. I think she called them the conductor of the orchestra or something like that. Okay, so they would probably they would be running point on this kind of thing. They would have operational command, and they would bring in local law enforcement, and this would be like a joint operation. And so they're saying that the Secret Service, they would have had the main area here as their operational command, but outside of this area, as in the location of the rooftop where the gunman fired from, that would have been under the local police's command. So that I think is probably accurate. This wasn't the AOR of the Secret Service per se. It was probably the AOR of the local police taking direction from the Secret Service, direction and guidance from the Secret Service. So it looks like they're, it's a joint operation. We got different agencies involved with different AORs that are, constrained to various geographic boundaries around this venue.
That's I think for AOR's area of responsibility, I believe,
yes,
right?
Sorry. Yeah,
so that's interesting what you say there, and with the area that they'd be responsible for. So I did saw a breakdown like that, and that was one of the things they were highlighting, is that there would be different agencies involved in different protections. So it was outside of the grounds. Probably there would have been a local law enforcement or state level law enforcement, but also even when it comes to the Secret Service, they all have different areas of responsibility. In fact, I saw people talking about the snipers and saying chances are they would be looking at longer range distances normally. Like the counter sniper teams wouldn't even be. I mean, it's possible they would look everywhere, right? But their main area of responsibility would be that longer shot, even farther out from where that guy is. And during the attack, you can see Trump's first people go around him, but then you can also see fully combat gear wearing guys come in, and then they take position on the stage, right? So you got people covering him. You got guys that come in with rifles that are covering the area immediate in front, and you can kind of see the different levels of how these different officers are engaging. And I think maybe that caused some problems too, right? If you got multiple agencies, you got state, local, Secret Service, and then even amongst these people, they each have their own areas. And this guy maybe ended up in a little area that he was too far in for where the snipers were normally looking. Maybe the local cop couldn't communicate properly with the other cop, and it had to go. Or the local cop probably can't make the decision to tell the sniper over here to shoot, right? So there's probably a few things going on there.
I think you're coming into my wheelhouse here, there, Dacey. I'm going to get into it in a second, but here's another article. This is from Newsweek. Secret Service head Kimberly Cheadle to answer for Donald Trump shooting. Sorry, I don't really know this woman's name, but she's clearly terrible. And I just want to scroll down to this one paragraph here. It says, among the concerns that have been raised about the shooting are questions about how the gunman was able to obtain rooftop access just 150 meters from Trump's position on the stage. The Secret Service has said that the agency did not sweep the building where the sniper, who has been identified by 20-year-old, I think they mean as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, shot from, leaving that security measure to local law enforcement instead. So that is kind of the thing. And I'm not a cop, so I don't really know how these jurisdictions really work. But I mean, they're inside the local law enforcement's jurisdiction. So there is some collaboration that is expected and required. And Right Blend is saying, no excuse. The Secret Service is still ultimately responsible. The Secret Service director still needs to resign. And so does everyone directing security there. I'm not going to disagree with that. I do absolutely think that that director should resign because she set the conditions that allowed this to happen. I think what we're really trying to kind of get at here is how it happened. And whether this was the deep state, attempting an assassination of Trump, or whether there's something else going on here. I'm leaning towards basically what Dacey just said there a minute ago. As we can see, the shooter was inside the AOR of the local law enforcement, not under the direct operational control of the the Secret Service. So or tactical control, I guess that would be. But yeah, Secret Service, I guess, would have operational control, and the tactical control was left to law enforcement. So yeah, we're just trying to get through this. I think there were some resignations, very poor management, obviously, that would have led to this. And here's another one, 36 News Now. Sources: building where shooter fired at Trump rally was staging area for local law enforcement. So same thing. This is where everybody is kind of going. Is it was local law enforcement's job to sweep that building and make sure it was secure. And we saw too, like, people were pointing it out, and local law enforcement did climb up the roof, and he had the rifle pointed at him, and then he climbed back down right before the shooter started shooting. So there might have been slow response on the part of local law enforcement, but like, it's chaos, right? These situations are always chaos. So people are trying to get law enforcement's attention, and they're kind of going, what's going on with these people? It's going to take them a minute or two to clue in to what they're actually trying to communicate to them. And so that's going to take some time, and there's probably some maybe some disbelief there that there's even a guy about to attempt this. All kinds of stuff like that. So you got to factor this in to your analysis as well. Anything to add to that there, Dacey?
Yeah, I think for sure. Like, and if it was so that say it was a local law enforcement officer, from what I understand, he went up the ladder. If he makes contact and that hurried the situation up, like, I mean, it would take time for him to even be able to radio that to anyone. I don't know how these sniper teams work, but there's probably rules of engagement and whatnot, but I don't think they just start firing off rounds randomly without checking in with someone. Even if they saw someone, it seems like they probably fired once the shots went off. He fired anyways. You probably don't have to wait at that point. But it seems probably like there would have to be some type of chain of command that went through. That's more your wheelhouse, obviously, than mine. But seems like there's probably a delay. And like you say, I mean, there's not so many, or like they said earlier, there's not so many officers per person, right? So with the screaming, the chaos, I mean, there's people pointing, giving the finger probably all the time, screaming, fist bumps. It's not necessarily, even if you're screaming and pointing at an officer, he's maybe looking back at 1,000 people. So it's not as easy to pick out the one person that's maybe trying to get your attention. And if these officers are covering something farther away, man, you might be pointing at someone else. He could be looking 200 feet behind you. So there's a few things there that could happen, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And Right Blaine was just saying, total incompetence. Was it incompetence deliberately installed? Was Trump's campaign denied resources they requested? Apparently they were. Yeah, I saw that too.
I heard that.
And I think it's a combination of those factors. We're trying to cover them all. I think that, he was probably denied additional resources. And it has been the people at the top that are sowing chaos and getting these lunatics completely deranged about what's actually happening with Trump. You know, they think he was a fascist and he's the next Hitler and all this stuff. And if you believe that, then this is a pretty logical course of action. The problem is with the belief itself, and how out to lunch it really is. But they're sowing chaos, and at the same time they're denying resources, and at the same time we have this DEI crap going on in which is just freaking Marxist psyop, essentially, to weaken us and allow things like this to happen. You know, you get away from meritocracy, and of course everything's going to fall apart, right?
That puts Trump in a difficult position too. So if he asked for additional resources, they say no. I think maybe now he will get more resources because he's the official Republican nominee now going in. I think it was all announced today. But can you imagine? So he doesn't have enough resources, and he wanted to have his own security say. I mean, he probably has the money to hire a very elite security force. Imagine what people would do. They'd freak out, right? So they won't give him the security he needs, leading to the possibility of exactly something like this. If he would have tried to have his own security, they call him a mercenary or Putin or whatever else. It kind of puts him in an impossible position. And he's still got to go out there, right? He's still got putting his face out there this whole time that they've been coming at him. This came a little sooner than I thought, but this wasn't out of the realm of possibility for any of us. We've been saying this for a while. I thought it was maybe down the road if it was going to happen, but I mean, it's only a matter of time with the rhetoric from these people and the way they've been pushing. They've been pushing and pushing and pushing to demonize this man. And like you say, if you believe what they say, it's a natural reaction to try to do something about that.
And just to touch on something you touched on there a minute ago about maybe there was a delay in the authorization to shoot or something like that. I don't know about all of that. I know in the military, like, we give people rules of engagement, and I understand it to be very similar in police forces as well. Like there are certain conditions under which you are authorized to shoot, and you're given these rules of engagement to say this is when you're allowed to shoot. So they would just follow their ROEs. I don't think that they would take the time to radio back and get permission. But that was something people were saying. I find that to be a little bit incredulous for me.
One would think that a shooter with a rifle on the roof pointed at the Trump would qualify under those circumstances. I would assume, but who knows? Yeah, maybe somebody that's more experienced knows this stuff. But, you should wait till after the shots ring out, really. But
there's that. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go to this. This is a radio network diagram. This is a partial diagram of a radio network. And now we're kind of like, we're in my wheelhouse. This is my previous, military occupation that we specialized in this kind of thing, like building radio networks. And so what you see here, for those of you just listening in particular, like there are big circles with spokes coming out of them, and then little circles. Now, the little circles, they only connect to the big circle, and the big circles, they connect to the little circles. But each little circle only connects to one big circle, and then the big circles kind of connect to other big circles. So what we're seeing here is basically the little circles are individual radios, and the big circles are dispatch. Okay, they're like the base station. So everybody who's connected to this dispatch, they can all talk to each other, and dispatch can talk to them. But everybody who's in this wheel over here on that network, like they can't talk to these other dispatches. Okay, it's the dispatchers, they can talk to each other, and then those dispatches will pass information on to the people connected in their networks. And a lot of this has to do with just basically like the physical limitations of radio technology. And so yeah, it's individuals will speak to their respective dispatch, but they can't speak to other dispatchers. So only the dispatchers can do that. So when you have multiple agencies involved, you're going to have multiple radio networks. They all use different technology. And I know how that sounds, but it's true. You would think that this would be really easy, but it's so much harder. I think that it needs to be. And that's just how it is in real life. So if you are local law enforcement, you can talk to other local law enforcement and your dispatch, but you can't talk to Secret Service. You go to your dispatch, their dispatch goes to Secret Service's dispatch, and then Secret Service dispatch tells the guy with the rifle what's going on. So there's kind of relaying that needs to take place, and the telephone factor in the middle there, where the game of telephone, like you start off on one end, and by the time it gets out to you pass it down the line to multiple people, the last person is saying something completely different than the first person was. So things get kind of mixed up and garbled, and things like that in terms of information fidelity from one end to the other. But these are complex networks, complex systems. And usually, like when we see failures like this, it is a breakdown in communication. I worked in the communications branch for 20 years, and that was always the irony, is it's like we can't communicate. Even those of us in the communications branch, we suck at communicating. And like when you're dealing with radio networks, then you have these additional limitations in there, and you have multiple agencies. So you have multiple dispatchers, multiple agencies, stuff like this. In the mix. And I wanted to show an example of what I mean. So this is the Wikipedia page. 2014 shootings at Parliament Hill, Ottawa. So this was the Ottawa shooter, Michael Z. Halfby-Bowe, saw in Parliament Hill, and he shot Corporal Nathan Cirillo, standing on guard for thee, to death at the War Monument there in Ottawa. I mean, I was there, actually. I was in Ottawa at the time. I had just been posted there when this happened. And yeah, it was pretty wild when it all went down. But I highlighted this one paragraph here in this article, and this is under the heading Investigation and Government Response. It says, recalled were reports issued by the Auditor General of Canada on the security of the House of Commons and the Senate. While many operational aspects were praised, it was noted that possible jurisdictional confusion could result between the RCMP, Ottawa Police, and the House of Commons Security Services and the Senate Protective Services, and that no agency ANT had jurisdiction over the roofs of the Parliament buildings. The day after the shooting, Prime Minister Harper pledged to expedite plans to boost security forces, surveillance, detention, and arrest powers. Other members of the government indicated consideration was being made towards ways to magnify anti-terrorism laws. So yeah, there's a few different things going on in there. But one of the big things that came out of this was there was all this confusion about whose jurisdiction it was, which police force was supposed to be acting, responding, and they couldn't talk to each other. And I know this because I worked at strategic communications for the Canadian Armed Forces, and the guy in the cubicle right next to me was the guy who managed the radio program. And we were bringing, like, the Canadian Armed Forces at that time was bringing the backbone to these services, the radios themselves, which would provide the interoperability that allowed different agencies using different radio systems to be able to talk to each other. So we had to, like, build this in the wake of the Ottawa shooter, and that was 2014. I know everybody thinks it's kind of like it is in the movies. Everything's really slick and nothing ever goes wrong, but it is the opposite. Like, it's the complete opposite. The fact of the matter is people drop the ball all the time, and plans, like, no plan survives execution. It never survives reality. You put the plan to the test and it'll fall apart pretty quickly. So that's kind of my take. I really appreciate, like, Dallas's take, for example, there when he was talking about security and giving the sniper's perspective on this. But I think that there are more factors at play than what he talks about there alone. In Dallas's line of work, like, they would have been overseas with VIPs doing close protection and this kind of thing, like he was saying. So it would have been all JTF2. So, like, everybody's JTF2, they can all talk to each other. The entire AOR belongs to them. They don't have to share responsibility with any other agencies, anything like that. But once you start adding these layers of complexity, you're also you're building something that's more prone to failure. And I think that's what happened here is just a failure to communicate and collaborate properly. It's much harder than, it's much easier said than done. In reality, people suck at working in teams and are generally inept.
Yeah, and so you have, technologies that don't necessarily get along. You got to go through multiple things, and then you add chaos and wild amounts of information coming in. It's no wonder that things can get lost in translation. I do remember when that attack took place. I was in Ottawa too. I was actually in the downtown area at the time, and even then too, there was a ton of information coming out that, there were reports of multiple active shooters. There was reports that one guy was headed one way, one headed the other way. And all these things are, reports are coming into different agencies and to different people, and they're getting relayed all around. And, sometimes you get in the chaos, you get good information, sometimes you get bad, or sometimes you miss stuff entirely. And that doesn't surprise me at all. So you got technology to fight with, you got human nature to fight with, you got chaos and stress added on top of all of that. It doesn't make for an easy thing.
Yeah. Thomas was just saying, well, this is your bread and butter. You guys were the most bitched at. SIGs, LOL. Yeah. I was an Air Force guy, so I don't like SIG. I'm a tech, but everybody called me a SIG anyway, because whenever I was deployed, I was basically a SIG. I was doing, basically whatever the Army needed. So, and yeah, this is what I saw all the time is people don't use their technology very well. Plans are not devised very well because the people doing the planning are often kind of out of touch with, what's really happening on the ground. Maybe they don't have that kind of experience, this kind of thing. So there are all kinds of factors that just lead to these failures, and they generally are very most appropriately attributed to ineptitude, just basic human ineptitude generally. And here is SDL, and he says, known timelighter of the shooter politics. And he's got a good graphic here that I just wanted to show. January 2021, he donated to a progressive PAC. October 2021, registers as a Republican. So that's well after he donated, he registers as a Republican. And they show the voter registration. So November 2020, votes as a Republican. You can't tell which party he voted for. And as we discussed here before, he may have been motivated by some, nefarious means, like deceptive means, to register as a Republican. And then July 2024, he dies wearing a right-wing gun YouTuber shirt. And they're showing the shirt here. It's for Demolition Ranch on YouTube. And also, there's a guy out there. He's a troll. This Jew Gazing is still posting. He's pretending to be the shooter or the guy that everybody is saying is a shooter. And he's saying that he's still alive and he wasn't the shooter, but he's just a troll. The FBI has confirmed his name, age, and residency, and it is in fact Thomas Matthew Crooks. So don't pay any attention to the @Jew Gazing guy. He's just a troll who's having some fun messing with people. Very I think uncool under the circumstances, obviously, and disgusting. But the FBI has confirmed that this is the guy, and he is wearing this right-wing YouTuber T-shirt. But I think what we're seeing here. Well, you go ahead, Dacey. You tell me what you think.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, even right-wing YouTuber is a bit of a stretch. That's Demolition Ranch. Like, it's pretty tame. It's a good show. I mean, Second Amendment supporter. He has a lot of friends that are, hangs out with some other gun YouTubers from the U.S. But I mean, it's a pretty tame show. It doesn't really get into politics. It's mostly about the firearms itself and different types of firearms, stuff like that. I mean, doing cool stuff. He has a huge ranch, can fire off whatever he wants. Tanks, automatic weapons. He tests all these kinds of guns and cool stuff. And I mean, it's an interesting show. But calling it like an extreme right type of thing would be a pretty big stretch to me. Also, anyone can buy a Demolition shirt, man. Like anyone can buy any shirt. So.
Well, yeah, and this is the guy who donated to Act Blue, which is a hard left super PAC. And I think he's, he's, what's the word I'm looking for here, Dacey? Like he's posing, I think, as a right winger.
Yes, could be. Yeah. And that would make sense too, right? If you were going to go into a MAGA crowd and try to get close enough and not get recognized, man, put on a MAGA hat at least, and you don't go in with rainbow hair and waving a trans flag. Like that's going to stand out.
Yeah.
You go in wearing whatever, something. Anyway, you have your MAGA hat, you have your Trump 2024 shirt or whatever you have. But I mean, that just makes sense. We've also seen lots of times where people pretend to be things they're not, just so the reaction they get will be used against their enemies. Right?
Exactly. And that's kind of what I'm thinking too, is, it's a bit of a cover here where like he hates the Republican candidate for president here. And probably just hates Republicans generally. So if he wants somebody like, so he's not a Republican. He wants them to be blamed. I think.
What do you call those Republican rhinos? Maybe the ones that are like very anti-Trump, but they're Republicans. I mean, but I don't think it's not the same wild crowd that's trying to murder him necessarily either. But there are a group of Republicans that definitely have a hate on for Trump.
But that's very true. Yeah, so he could be a Republican. I don't know. I think
I still don't think he is. Skeptical. I still don't think so. Yeah, me too.
Me too. I'm still very skeptical. And here's an image that somebody sent me here. Like this is just incredible. The thing is that he turned his head right before the shot was fired, and you can see his head is turned one way, and they've got the angle set up here right next to it. Well, he's got his head turned to his right. Now, if that shot comes by on the same trajectory, while his head is turned like that, it goes right through his brain. But because he just happened to look to his hard right, go hard right, guys. We got to go hard right. He turns his head like hard right, and it just clips his ear on the same trajectory. So just incredible. I mean, man, I never thought I'd see something like this in my lifetime. How about you, Dacey?
Oh man, yeah, I know you're not. I think you're an atheist. I'm not a God guy, but for me, like the only way I could describe it is like the hand of God was in there, man. Like there's no way that he should be alive. Like he had time, he had opportunity, he had position, he was close, man. And then like to turn at that time, all of it, just it's absolutely unbelievable to me. To me, it was divine intervention, and like I don't even know how else to describe it. Honestly, it should have been impossible.
I mean, I'm counting my lucky stars, man. We lose on Trump, like the whole damn thing is going down. I think, holy smokes, he didn't even pick a vice yet. Well, I mean, at that.
Yeah, he did today. Yeah, he did today.
But he didn't.
What an amazing piece of if you want to call it propaganda, or whatever. I mean, this is like they tried to kill him, but he's left with the most epic moment of our time. I mean, hands down, it's absolutely unbelievable. like fight. Come on, man. Come
Oh
on.
my God, it was pitch
And
perfect.
that goes to show people insult this guy and they call him all kinds of names and whatever. He's been attacked. He's been attacked in every which way imaginable, lied about the Russia collusion, the nonstop litigation against him, taken to court. They tried to throw him in jail, and he stood up and showed a brave face every time. Now when it's really on the line and he just got his bullet whizzed through and just about took off his head, he's taking the time, like he was knocked out of his shoes, man, by the guys. It's like, look, get my shoes, wait. As soon as they got that information over the thing that the shooter was down, he made them wait. And he was like, he risk or not, he didn't know that there was no risk. He had to do it. And that's a testament to the character of this man. It's incredible.
Yeah, exactly. Incredible. And I mean, like, he didn't even really know the extent of his injuries in the moment.
No,
and he was just like, I got to get up and I gotta say this. It was just.
Well, can you imagine too? So he was grazed by the ear, and if that is the case, I heard he may have taken 2 rounds in the vest. I don't know for sure, but I mean, you don't know if that was hit you, and if you get hit in the vest, man, like with adrenaline and everything going on, could have had a bullet right through him and not even known.
Yeah. It just the grit, like just incredible American grit, and I think that's like I said, I think that's going to be a good trickle down for us. Okay, and here is something. So this is a European news article here. Fico compares Trump's shooting to his own assassination attempt. Slovak Prime Minister Rob Fico, who recently survived a politically motivated shooting, drew parallels between his experience and the recent assassination attempt on former U.S. President Donald Trump, suggesting that their political opponents are inciting public anger and pushing individuals to resort to violence. Reacting to the news, Fico used the incident to criticize 3 major Slovak media outlets, which he often refers to as quote-unquote adversary media and quote anti-Slovak press, close quote, or even quote-unquote Soros herd of pigs. I like this guy. Quote, had Donald Trump's attacker spoke Slovak after reading Denik SME, or another Slovak name, it would have been enough for him to feel compelled to, quote, set things right, close quote, with a disobedient former U.S. president, close quote, Fico wrote on Facebook on Sunday. Quote, it is a carbon copy scenario. Political opponents of Donald Trump are trying to imprison him, and when they don't succeed, they enrage the public so much that some poor bugger picks up a gun, close quote, he said. Yes, that is exactly kind of the position that I'm taking as well. They wanted this to happen. Now, does that mean that they were pulling the strings every step of the way and right down to the last detail? They had this thing locked in tight. I don't think so. I mean, you don't send, if you're the deep state, like if I'm the deep state and I'm coming up with this plan, I'm going to be like, okay, deep state, here's what we're going to do. We're going to send a 20-year-old who couldn't even make the shooting club in his high school to take out like the most influential man on the planet and most likely the next U.S. president. No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not going to send a 20-year-old to do that. I'm going to send a serious freaking sniper to make sure that gets done. So I don't think that the deep state theory really adds up. I think that Fico here has kind of the right take on it, where he says that the political opponents of Donald Trump are trying to imprison him, and when they don't succeed, they enrage the public so much that some poor bugger picks up a gun. And this guy does seem to have been a poor bugger.
Yeah, they set up the conditions to make this possible, right? They make everything more likely, and they, that's not only with this, right? Like they've been doing this for ages, and they're ginning up hate and division and whatnot. It's the same thing that's led to, I think, the attack on me here in town, the attack on Christine Cameron. It's turning into violence on streets in America. We've seen it, but cities burning down, murders, attacks, all kinds of stuff. Saw how terribly they attacked Andy Ngo there way back. We've seen this kind of thing happening in the U.S., but this violence from people that have been radicalized by government officials, by left-wing government officials. They've radicalized these people to the degree that they are committing violence in our streets now. And this is happening in Canada as well. I've been the victim of some of this violence.
Yeah. And just some of what you're talking about here, like, and the people at the top, it's like they don't have to suffer with this thing. It's sort of the people that are lower down on the rungs of society. Like that's where all this this violence is going to take place. You know, the people who are inciting this, they're out of harm's way, and they don't give a damn what happens to the rest of us. They hate our guts and they want us to die. So.
And that's 100% true, man. Like I've run into people like this, and there's people in Ottawa and elsewhere that do want me dead and would see me dead. I would be dead if they had their way. Like this isn't some type of like over the top thing. I'm saying to get people to like, this is the truth. This is the truth of what I'm dealing with. I live it. I've witnessed it, and it's happening here.
Well, I believe it, and here is why I believe it. It's because. Here is the New Republic, the cover. This is from a couple of years ago. I think it was from a couple of years ago. But the title is American Fascism, and they have Trump made up to look like Hitler. It's very much like a 1932 sort of look to it and all of this. And so, you know, this carries weight, you know, with the general population. And you put this kind of thing out there saying that Trump is Hitler. And when people believe it, somebody like me or Dacey, as he's pointing out here, who supports, you know, say the politics of Donald Trump broadly. I don't want to put words in your mouth there, Dacey, but, you know, if they even so much as suspect that we're broadly or loosely aligned with the politics of Donald Trump, then we're fascists, right? So if they believe that, then the way they behave toward us is quite logical. It's the problem. The problem is with the belief in the first place, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly it, right? If there was somebody like a real man, we fought a war. You know, my grandfather went overseas to fight, and I mean, he was lucky he made it back, but I mean, to stop that evil, right? And that's what every reasonable person would do. I mean, if that was going on, that's what we'd all do. We're fighting a different kind of evil, communism, obviously this time, but you know. When you call someone a fascist, that's like these stickers that I was telling you about. They literally say "bash the fash" and they got a picture of a brick on it, and I'm the fascist to them, right? So they're saying they want to hit me in the head with a brick.
Yep,
and that's true, and they have hit me in the head. So like I mean, I was really angry after all the nonsense talk about Jeremy McKenzie, a decorated veteran who's never been convicted of a single thing in his life, coming to town. No. Yeah, exactly. And you know, everyone's up in arms. And then I'm walking around with seeing these threats to basically threats to my life plastered on posts all over downtown. And I actually did reach out with a few messages to some police officers that I knew and some pictures. And those were down the next day. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I was pissed. You know, I was violently assaulted in Ottawa, and I haven't heard a peep about it. Nothing's been done about it. No one cares. The left joke about it. They want to see more of it happen. They think I deserve it. They think you deserve it if you agree with me. It's absolutely disgusting, and it's only getting worse. And this rhetoric from these politicians who call us the problem, they're the ones that are doing this, not us.
Yeah, 1,000%. And Thomas is just saying, Jeff, I can say with all honesty that civil war was averted by Trump turning his head. I agree. Like, that's how close we came to a civil war in the United States. Like, could you imagine the fallout worldwide? Like, not just North America and for Canada, but like worldwide. If the United States goes down, man, like we're all going down. And here's Donald Trump, like he's fighting for all of us, you know. And Jesus, man, it's just unbelievable what they put him through. Speaking of that, here is Kathy Griffiths. Here's a look back on her. So remember this one? This was from early on in Trump's presidency, and she's got the mock head of Donald Trump looking decapitated, and she's holding it in her hand with a very straight face. So and people are posting stuff in these comments too, like Madonna went to the Women's March with the pussy hat on and said that she wanted to blow up the White House and stuff like this. So they're just appealing to all the darker elements of human nature because they want this. And you know, I don't know. I mean, like a lot of us saw this coming years away, and I think hopefully if there's anything to come out of this, like it's going to wake a few people up and people will start smartening up a little bit.
You know what's not surprising, but not surprising at all, but the amount of not surprising but absolutely disgusting is the amount of comments like "I wish they had hit" or "too bad he missed," and the people it's coming from. Comments like that about him, and I've had comments directly at me and my friends saying, "I wish they shot you in the head." So I mean, these people are yelling the stuff that they're encouraging it. They're it's absolutely disgusting. And people that are saying, like, if you're saying one of those people, you should be absolutely disgusted with yourself. It's completely unacceptable.
Well,
Tongue in cheek
that,
or serious, it's completely unacceptable. And these people aren't joking. It's serious. They want to kill
it
us.
is serious. It's just that they're giddy about the prospect of your death or of harm coming to you. They're
Disgusting.
evil. And the post that I've been kind of sharing out is the left is the mob. The mob craves blood. This is what we have right now is they've whipped up a mindless mob into this frenzy, bloodthirsty frenzy at that. And they want to do us harm and they want us dead. Thanks to these leaders that we have right now and media and so forth. Speaking of perfect example of that, here is Joe Biden just not that long ago.
Most importantly, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, Trump is a threat to this nation.
Take a look at what happened.
Most importantly,
there you go.
Yeah.
So a perfectly predictable outcome for this kind of rhetoric, right?
Yeah, and I mean, this isn't an isolated statement or an isolated time. He has said this dozens and dozens of times when he can string together a sentence. Often it's one like this. And he's not the only one. If you go on, check out X, I mean, there's thread after thread after thread. Some people have put together some really good cuts too of all the rhetoric against Trump. And when you hear it, man, like if you believe even 1/10 of this stuff, the natural reaction is to hate, is to be scared of him, is to want to do something about it. And that's what they wanted. And then the same thing, right? His supporters get that same hate, that same attention.
Yeah.
It's not good, and it's not going to slow down. I mean, these people aren't stopping. They're ramping their rhetoric and their craziness up. These are the same people too, right? Like they're calling Trump, he's a threat to democracy, all these things that democracy wants them. These people are throwing their political opponents in jail now. Like they've already done it. They're the ones that are the threat to democracy. They're destroying democracy. It's them. It's projection. Like
it's all projection. That's what I'm always saying. That's how the evil mind works, folks. It just projects all of its own evil onto the rest of us. Like, they call us the fascists because they are the fascists. And I saw some people commenting like they're drawing a lot of parallels with the JFK assassination. Now, again, like I'm the guy who's always putting forward this Hanlon's razor, never attribute malice, where ineptitude will suffice. So I'll throw this in. I said it a little bit earlier, but I just pulled this up for your benefit. I will offer this for your consideration. Here is the book that convinced me. It's called Mortal Error. It's by Bonner Menninger, and it's called Mortal Error, The Shot That Killed JFK. And it's based on the ballistics, and that's what it comes down to. That's kind of the hard science of it, right? Is the ballistics, regardless of what anybody will say. Like, if you don't have the ballistics to support your theory, then you don't really have a theory. A conspiracy theory maybe, but not a theory as in a proper explanation. And Howard Donahue was the guy who made the shot. So everybody said it was impossible for Oswald to get 3 shots off and be as accurate as he did in the time that he did. But Howard Donahue was the guy who did it. He replicated that shot. And then he went in, he spent years, decades, diving into all the ballistics and interviewing people and all this stuff. Never really got an audience with the Warren Commission, but his conclusions were that Oswald only fired 2 shots, not 3. The first shot he fired through his scope, which was off, and so he hit the ground behind the limousine. The bullet fragmented, and 2 of the fragments hit Kennedy in the back of the head. That's when his arms went up, and he said, "I'm hit." Because the sight was off, Oswald then used his iron sight, and that was the shot that went through Kennedy's neck and came out the front. It's just that his neck was kind of held together by his collar. And it was the passenger side rear seat. Here it is, the photo here. It says photo showing driver and agent George Hickey shortly after JFK was killed, holding the AR-15 rifle that accidental shooting theorists say killed Kennedy. Yes, that's Okay, I'm gonna blow that up. Okay, so here's the AR-15. This is the follow-on car directly behind Kennedy. This is Agent George Hickey in the back seat. The AR-15, according to everybody who testified at the commission, was ready to go, as in locked, loaded, safety off. In the follow-on car, it was always like that. When Hickey heard the shots from Oswald, he grabbed the rifle. He stood up on the back seat, which is never a good idea when the safety's off. He fell backward, and the fatal wound actually came from his AR-15 .223 round that hit Kennedy in the back of the head and blew the front of his skull out. Now, everybody thinks that Kennedy got hit in the front from somebody on the grassy knoll, but that's actually an exit wound. It's the big wound, right? The bullet, the entry wound was much smaller in the back of his head, and then it fragments and it blows the front of his skull out. And that was the .223 round that did that, not the 6.5 millimeter Carcano round that Oswald fired, because that's a full metal jacket, and the full metal jacket will just go, you could probably, you know, if you line people up the right way, you could hit like 5, you go through 4 people and kill a fifth one. And so the Carcano round that went through Kennedy's throat was the one that hit the governor, who was hit him in the rib cage. He was sitting in the car with Kennedy, but the .223 round is the one that fragments and blows out the front of his skull. And what he's doing when he's going back and to the left is actually reacting to that puncture wound that the bullet causes. It's more like when somebody gets shot with an arrow or gets stabbed in real life. It's not like it is in Quentin Tarantino movies where you shoot the guy and then he goes flying off the screen in the other direction. All the recoil is on the shooter's end. Okay, it's the explosion that causes that force, and it's in equal force in both directions. So it's applying an equal force to the projectile as it is to the shooter. It's not the same for the person being shot. That's just a projectile. That's more like, there's no explosion on that end that would cause him to recoil off in the other direction. It's more like being shot with an arrow at that point. And what do people do when they get shot with an arrow or stabbed is they buckle toward the wound. That's the body reacting, trying to protect itself. It's a nervous system reaction. And so that's what Kennedy's doing, is he's reacting toward the direction of the wound, which is the bottom left side of his rear skull. So he's moving back into the left because that's what his nervous system is convulsing toward, is the entry wound. So I hope that's not too far off topic, but again, this just sort of reinforces my position that the overwhelming majority of the time, these things are due to human error and just ineptitude generally. Like, what the hell was he doing standing up in the back seat with an AR-15 and the safety off like that? That was just kind of reckless, right?
I think
so,
go ahead. That's interesting. Actually, I had never heard this. I'm going to take a look into that. But to me, that kind of thing sounds far more plausible than some of these really out there where you have to twist them kind of things, right? Like I tend to agree with that thought, right? Can they ascribe ignorance or ineptitude or incompetence or all these other things before I go to malice? And I think that's generally the right approach.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to believe that people were generally competent to accept a lot of these different conspiracy theories, but I just can't. My life, it goes against my entire life's experience for me to believe that people are generally competent, I'm afraid. Here is Laura Powell, and she says, minutes before the apparent assassination attempt, Kamala Harris said Trump, quote unquote, incites hate. A dog whistle meaning, quote, is essentially Hitler, close quote. No one is surprised at the shooting because we've been hearing such incendiary rhetoric from the Biden administration. It must stop. And here is Kamala Harris. And that's exactly what the headline says, is that Trump incites hate. And I think that's a very good take, that he's basically Hitler. And here is this awful witch herself.
Donald Trump is an existential threat to our democracy and our most fundamental freedoms. Remember the chaos, the division, the attacks that took rights and liberties from the American people. We cannot allow that to happen again. Make an investment in our campaign, and together we can protect our freedoms and keep the White House. Thank you. Donald Trump is...
Oh, good Lord. Yeah.
It's just evil. It's evil. These people are disgusting. They're disgusting, evil people. And yes, the shooter bears responsibility for taking the shot, but they bear responsibility as well. They caused this situation. They enabled the conditions that have led us here. It was all them. It was never the way they say it is. It's always been them.
Yeah, and this is a kid. He's 20 years old, you know, and he was an outcast in school. So this is exactly the kind of mind, I think, that
And at the same time, exactly, they don't give a shit about people. Like, they don't give a shit about this kid. They don't give a shit about minorities, about any of these groups that they talk about. They give absolutely no shit. They will use these people. They'll use them to get power, to attack us, to turn them insane so that they'll go out and do their bidding and sow chaos in the streets. But they do not give a shit about the people they purport to help. It's absolutely disgusting. And these people are going to be exposed, and Trump is going to win the election, and hopefully he starts cleaning house, using the law the way it was supposed to be used. Go after these damn criminals. It's disgusting, and I've had enough of it.
Yeah. I mean, like, this is it. Like, we came, you know, within a hair's breadth of all-out civil war, and like the free world, you know, the fate of the free world going down the toilet.
And it's no joke, right? Like, the fate of Canada is integrally linked with the fate of the U.S. The politics run down should they come our way, you know, if they go south. But it's not only us. First, yes, like, we'll have immediate consequences. But if the U.S. falls, Canada falls, and so does the world.
Yeah.
Unless you want the winner of Russia, China / Iran sites bombing it out for the after. Like, man, it's going to be warlord world, worse than it is now.
Exactly. We're back to warlord world. That is the default condition of the human species. And, you know, would you rather live in a world dominated by the Americans or by China? That's really kind of the question that it comes down to. I get so furious with some of these Canadians that I interact with online. You know, they're always saying, oh, these Americans this and these Americans that. And I'm like, yeah, the Americans under whose umbrella of protection we live, and let them go off and do our dying for us all over the world, just so you people can spit down on those giants upon whose shoulders we ride. You mean those Americans? Oh yeah, they're really terrible. Like, there's never been a people in the history of the world who have shed more of their own blood for other people in lands they didn't care about, for total strangers. I mean, it's upside down land. It's opposite land. Good is evil. Evil is good. And that's where I am with the
it's like that everywhere too. America was the experiment in actual freedom. They are the closest we've ever come as human civilization to doing it right. And it's taken a long time. Like, the idea is still right there. I think there's a lot of good with the way America was founded. You know, the base that they built on. A lot of it is still good. A lot of it's being corrupted. And I mean, if their laws were working the way they were meant to, and so much of their institutions hadn't been captured, we'd probably still be running quite well. There's some rot gotten in there, obviously, and a lot of problems. But I think it's still savable at this point, hopefully. And I think it still is by far the best example of a society that works and a truly free, or the most free, let's call it, society that we've had so far. No one's come close.
No, I agree. Absolutely. And I do think, they had the framers of the Constitution were Renaissance men. They were absolutely brilliant. And they gave them a brilliant constitution that has withstood the test of time, as much as any democracy has. You know, it's been since 1776. So, so far, so good. And there's some tweaking and some house cleaning that needs to take place. Of course, I'll point out that we're in a fourth turning, as I always point out. It's a crisis era that we enter into every 4 generations. Last one being the World War II, and before that it was the American Civil War, and before that it was the American Revolution, and it just goes on and on and on, all the way back to the dawn of human civilization. The good news is that the fourth turning has a beginning and an end. Like, there's no reason to expect a linear trajectory of history. It has a cycle. It has a cyclical nature to it. After the Second World War, we got the new American high, which was when we got higher standards of living than the world has ever seen, new technologies, and just a better way of life for everybody. So we do have that to look forward to, assuming we don't fall to tyranny within this fourth turning. But I do tend to think that the tide is turning, and that this assassination attempt is probably going to do a lot to drive that momentum in the direction that we want to see as well. And somebody was just asking, sorry, I'm going to throw one thing in here, because somebody was just asking, Debbie was saying, so the shot to the neck of Kennedy, would that have been fatal? It would have been, probably, had it not been for Howard Donahue's fatal shot to the head. And Thomas was just saying, Jeff, could you ask Dacey, do you have an update for your vids this afternoon? Freakland in Sockboys up. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Um,
Not the update everyone wanted yet, but maybe that news will be coming soon.
It will be. I got you lined up, brother. I'm just trying to, make my way through. I'm building to it. And
Patience,
it might be
everyone.
a little bit long here today. We're coming up on the 2-hour mark already, but there's a lot to talk about, guys. We were just talking about, Kamala Harris and her saying that Trump is an existential threat to society. And before that, we saw, here is Joe Biden saying, most importantly, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, Trump is a threat to this nation. So this is the kind of rhetoric that got us to this point. And here's average Joe on the internet and what he thinks about it.
You know what else I'm sick of? You know what else I'm sick of? I'm sick of hearing he's a threat to democracy. He's a threat to democracy. How the fuck is he a threat to democracy? How? Because this isn't a fucking democracy. It's a fucking republic, and I'm tired of hearing you say this shit. This is not a democracy. This is a republic. And how is he a threat to the republic? Because he was there for 4 years and he gave you the greatest fucking economy in human history. You were the safest that you ever been, ever in your life, and you had the greatest energy independence ever in human history, in United States history. So how was he a threat to the republic then? He was a threat to you. That's why you was fucking with him the whole entire time now he was there. And the same media that lied about Joe Biden being okay and everything's going on and he's the greatest fucking president, and all you motherfuckers that told everybody to vote for him, all you liars, is the same people that kept saying all that shit about Donald Trump that was a fucking lie. And all the people see it now. So now it's up. The jig is up. The griff is exposed. We know none of you motherfuckers are really leaders, and someone is your puppet master. We're going to put Donald Trump in office. Doesn't matter who you pick. We're not fucking with none of them. None of them. It's over.
So, yeah, that's what I mean when I say I think the tide is turning. It's a big machine. It's got a lot of inertia. It doesn't turn on a dime, but it does seem to be coming around to the right direction. What do you think, Dacey?
Yeah, and I've actually been saying this for a while now. I think we've been in the process of the turn for a while, and it's it's a slow thing at first, right? You start noticing little signs and whatnot, but often the signs come later on, and the actual results come later than the turn. You start to turn before you really realize. And I've been saying this for quite a while. I've noticed a shift in the public at large, in the people around me, in politicians, and in everybody. I've noticed a change. So I think things are changing. Still, a lot of damage is done that we may not have seen all the results of, right? So there's going to be stuff that the consequences are sometimes shifted and delayed somewhat from some of the stuff we've been through. So not saying we're out of the woods and we don't have one heck of a fight and there's not going to be suffering and a lot more craziness. There will be. And as these people realize that their time is up, and it gets closer to these elections, same thing here in Canada coming for Trudeau's election. As this gets closer, these people are going to be more and more desperate. Their rhetoric will probably increase. They'll start throwing more and more crazy Hail Marys. They'll try anything. They're like wounded animals stuck in a corner, and a wounded animal is dangerous. So we have to be ready. But I think we're heading in the right direction. It's certainly going to be an interesting next year, and who knows how long. But man, I think we're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're gradually turning this tide. And very well said, too, like a wounded animal. Like we have desperate tyrants on our hands who will do anything to cleave to power. And it is a very dangerous situation for us to be in. No joke about it. But here's some more average Joe footage here. I'm just going to put my dog outside while this plays. 1 sec.
You remember what you got. This is your fault. You. This is your fault. Every last one. This is your fault. It is their fault. This is your fault. You. This is your fault. I got you. Easy. Thank you, sir. Your fault. This is your fault. You remember.
So this is from the Trump rally in the aftermath of the shooting, and the attendees are just screeching at the press who are there, and they're saying, this is your fault. You did this. So there's a lot of anger and a lot of people are fed up, but they're not like resorting to violence or anything like that. They're expressing
that's a righteous anger. Yeah, the press is responsible. The press is evil, and they are complicit in the evil that these governments have done. They are the propaganda wing of the government. They've chose to do this. They are spineless cowards doing the bidding of evil tyrants, and they deserve the scorn they get. I'll be happy when they're unemployed and they're out of there and they don't have their money. These people can never hack it coming up against me or you or anybody else out there trying to do, media work now. But like you say, we're not violent. We're not going to go attack them. They'll end up where they're supposed to be. They're going to lose their jobs, and the world has a way of taking care of these things. I tend to look at it as, God handles that kind of stuff. I don't have to worry about it, but they deserve everything that's coming their way, and violence isn't the answer. They'll get what's coming to them, just like everyone does.
No, I mean, we're better than that, right? Like we're the civilized people, and we're dealing with savages. I think we should treat them humanely at the end of the day, but at the same time, there needs to be accountability for severe
scorn and ridicule every time you see them.
Yes, absolutely. Shame them, mock them. You got to mock these tyrants. They can't take it. And that is what they are lacking, obviously, is shame. That's what they need. And it's up to us to give it to them. So, and speaking of shamefulness, here is a clip from CBC that Odessa is sharing out here. This is in the immediate aftermath of the shooting. Here we go.
Something I saw that I find interesting is that in the moment after this happened, you saw people giving the middle finger to the cameras. There's another angle of that, of people going up to the cameras in the back and yelling, "This is your fault. This is your fault." They are furious, understandably furious that this happened to him, but very clearly suggesting that the political rhetoric and the amplification of it has led to this. Yeah. And again, maybe we don't know. We don't know, even though, there's no shortage of people on social media and in real life trying to make deductions about the possible motivations, and certainly watching social media. As you said, it's so interesting to have that user-generated content, UGC as we call it. When we are at these events, typically we're in one spot. If we're lucky, we can have two reporters in two spots. But something I saw that...
Yeah, so... deflection going on there from CBC. It's everybody. It's the angry people's fault. That they're angry at the press. They're pure as the driven snow.
Yeah, I mean that's just the way these people always are, right? Like if you notice, you're the problem. Don't you dare point out any of these faults. You're terrible. No noticing.
Yeah. And speaking of no noticing, look how much trouble they went to for us not to notice. Here are some headlines that. Doji Dacey here, I think, clipped together. And here's the Washington Post. Trump has scored it away after loud noises at Pennsylvania rally. ABC. Donald Trump is escorted off stage by Secret Service during rally after loud noises ring out in crowd. NBC. Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after popping noises heard at his Pennsylvania rally. Newsweek says MAGA responds with outrage after Donald Trump injured at Pennsylvania rally. And here's another one. Looks like we got some CNN headlines over here. Trump removed from stage by Secret Service after loud noises startles former president. Crowd. Oh yeah, he's bleeding in the picture. And here's CNN. Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after he falls at rally. Yeah, so yeah, just the gall on these people. Like, who do they think they're fooling? They think we're idiots,
Oh, when people say you cannot hate the mainstream media enough, that cannot be understated. You do not hate these people enough. They, no matter how evil and despicable and two-faced and double-handed and all this nonsense you think they are an order of magnitude worse at the very least. They are disgusting. They are evil.
And I think that this next guy here captures this sentiment very well. This is the Staten Island press conference on the matter, and here we go.
Oh, by the way, a registered Republican. Yeah. You guys know about that?
Yeah.
So I don't know who you are.
So they're already pushing this, the shooter was a registered Republican stuff. That's the first question, I guess, that's being thrown at this guy at the press conference.
So I'd just like to, before I answer your question, what's your name? Daniel. Daniel, from where? From NBC. And sir, where are you from? Sorry, NJ Burkett with Channel 7. Okay. So you want to talk about the fact the guy may be a Republican, or at least registered the Republican Party, which anybody in this country is free to do.
I didn't ask that question.
That's fine, but you did suggest, and you're talking about rhetoric. So are you saying that it's not okay for us to denounce violence? Are you saying that we should wait until we know what's going on? Everybody on the planet knows that you have MSNBC, the New York Times, Rachel Maddow, The View. You have Maxine Waters. Oh, let's get in their faces. You have this going on every day. And you dare to say to us, shouldn't we wait? No, we shouldn't wait. Right now is the time to say that we need to cool things down. We don't have to wait for your permission. We don't have to wait for anybody's permission, regardless of this young man's motivation. What he did was wrong. He tried to assassinate a president of the United States. And you stand there and say, well, maybe I should wait. Maybe it's okay. Are you saying the fact that he was registered to the Republican Party absolves him of everything? Absolves all of the media of all of the coverage they've done for the last 10 years? Absolutely not. That is a pathetic question, and I think you guys should be ashamed. I mean, I don't know you personally, but it's pathetic that you would even suggest that he's a Republican, therefore everything is okay, when you have social media, you have control of the media, you talk about the laptop, you talk about Russian collusion, all of that we have to forget, because maybe this guy was registered or is registered to the Republican Party. You should be ashamed of yourselves.
I don't think what he's saying is that. I think what they're saying is when he says they did it.
Yeah, they did it.
They did it. You don't know that.
It's what I'm saying.
He knows who he is.
It's what I'm saying. Listen, I take all these DEI classes, right? And in the DEI classes, they say that it's not what the question is. It's how the person who perceives the question takes it. That's how I take it.
Very well.
That's how I take it. Throw that DEI right there. You got to kind of beat them at their own game, throwing that DEI right back in their face was beautiful. Mwah.
He's right. He's absolutely right.
Yeah. And here is the Visegrad is sharing this print edition of the New York Times this morning. So this was the day after the shooting. And here is the New York Times, the cover, the whole cover is he failed the tests of leadership and betrayed America. Voters must reject him in November. Donald Trump is unfit to lead. Now, Jesus, here's this first, it's unbelievable.
So is that an ad or is that a paid piece, or is that them putting that in there? Either way, it's completely ridiculous. It shouldn't go in there. It's the
front page. It's like,
it's the front page. Oh yeah, shit. Yeah. Oh god. Oh man.
Yeah. Okay, maybe not. I don't know, but he says print edition of the New York Times this morning.
Sunday,
it looks like the front page.
Yeah, maybe the front page of the section, but even so, it's a full page in the paper. It's a whole full page. Shit, man,
just incredible. But the good news is they've jumped the shark so many times now. I think that the impact that they're actually having is not the one that they want. It's that they're waking people up and they're like, holy shit, this can't possibly.
Yeah, for the most part, they're doing us favors in a lot of places. Sometimes they're so out there with the thing, you got to almost wonder if someone on the inside is really working with us. They're making such ridiculous moves. But I don't think that is actually the case. But yeah, they are so far out there. The problem is that even a 5% super radicalized minority is very, very dangerous, super dangerous. So, a lot of people are waking up, a lot of stuff is changing, but it only takes even if it's 1 in a million, there's hundreds of millions, you got 300 of these same people out there. So, I mean, it's still quite a dangerous thing.
Yeah, just incredibly dangerous. And, it's not just the political establishment. It's not just the media. It's kind of, a lot of the celebrities, the cultural leaders. Here's Mark Hamill. For you and your favorite person, says, congratulations, so happy for you. So that's what he's tweeting about the shooting. Libs of TikTok has been all over these people. They're saying Mark Hamill just deleted this tweet, which he posted right after the shooting. So yeah, this is their reaction. You want to talk about sick, evil people?
No wonder. I brought up Star Wars today, and Right Blend almost lost it on me talking about Mark Hamill. I hadn't seen this tweet, but now it all makes sense. I was like, what? Star Wars is no good anymore? What? But now this makes sense. And celebrities are doing this all over the place. Not just celebrities, people too. People, celebrities, politicians,
boomers.
Well, UBC there. We had the professor coming out. These people need to be publicly shamed, and they need to. Yeah, it's gross. Yeah. Good, Jamie.
And here's libs of TikTok, and they're sharing out. This is just kind of, a regular young person, I guess, these days. And they're saying, why do the most intolerant, evil people always have their pronouns in their bio? And here's what this person is saying. I don't care that man is a racist, rapist, pedophile, bigot, etc., and deserves every bad thing that ever comes to him in his life. And the shot shouldn't have been missed. And she's got a smiley face. This is, I don't know, just their bio and stuff. And, she, her, it's right there. So the pronouns in the bio, that's how the evil people identify themselves. Here's libs of TikTok again, and they're just showing these are some average people now on social media, and they say they keep exposing themselves as the POS people that they really are. And here there's a news story that's being tweeted out. Breaking: Donald Trump was whisked off the stage at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania after loud noises rang out through the crowd on Saturday. And this guy here, Daryl Andre, is saying, too bad they missed. So this is just freaking all over the place. And here's a picture of that guy. That's a good job on libs of TikTok. Let's show these, name them and shame them. Here they are again. Meet Tony Bendel, a firefighter in Sudbury, Pennsylvania. He's upset that the bullet missed. A bullet did hit Corey, though, a rally attendee who was also a firefighter. That was the guy who tried to shield his family and probably did so successfully. This is especially disgusting coming from a fellow firefighter someone who's supposed to protect others. Yes, I tend to agree. And here's Tony. He says, too bad it didn't hit him square. Here he is getting his profile deleted, I guess. Oh, someone reported my post. Oh, and now he's gone. Here is Tony. This firefighter, I guess they can be scumbags too. And here they are again. This is absolutely deranged and evil. This is Destiny. I didn't really know anything about this guy. I guess he's been on a few interviews and stuff. I was on a space there the other night with this guy. He's completely deranged, unhinged lunatic. Believes that Donald Trump is an insurrectionist. Like, that's the problem, is that he believes that. And so again, like his behavior is quite rational if you start from that belief. It's the belief that he starts from that's the problem. And Destiny is saying, a person in a crowd cheering for and supporting a traitor to this country caught astray. I'm so sad. Please. Yeah, he's talking about the firefighter who was shot in the head shielding his family. That's disgusting. And here he is again. And somebody is saying, you are such a disgusting bitch. I cannot believe your shit right now. And they're showing the blood and the bleachers. Like there's brain matter there too, if you zoom in. And Destiny is saying, all I see is Biden up 1 in Pennsylvania. Just like,
oh my God,
evil people, right?
Dude, and I've been watching, I still sometimes, man, it's like, that is so far beyond disgusting. I've been reading this crap too for 2 days. Like, they're talking about a father and husband, fire chief. I think he was a fire chief. Spent his whole life giving for others, and until the very last second, as he died protecting his family.
Only the good die young.
Yeah, man. And these people are cheering it on. It's absolutely disgusting. And I mean, it's hypnotic. These are psychopaths. They're
showing themselves.
That is one part that I guess, man, like, we can use that, right? These people are exposing themselves. When these people come out and you start seeing this, take note. If it's someone you know, especially, like, note that. If that person's part of your life, note that. You need to adjust. You need to adjust that relationship. You need to be careful and wary of that person. They're dangerous.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. June Marie over on X is letting us know that this firefighter resigned. So this Tony Bendel, apparently he resigned already. So not only did he get his account canceled, but he has resigned. So, we'll take that as a win. Good to see some of these people facing some consequences. Now we just got to go for the people at the top. Now, these guys had a pretty good take on this whole thing. Dan Holloway is tweeting this out. I'll just play the video.
The central premise of the Biden campaign has been that Trump is a fascist and that if he gets elected again, American democracy is over. He's literal Hitler, he's Mussolini, whatever the else. Now, how the do you expect people to react to something like that? I don't want to hear this about, oh, we got to turn the temperature down. No, you, guy. You turn the temperature up, now we're all going to cook. The central premise of the Biden campaign has been that Trump is a fascist and that if he gets elected again, American democracy is over. He's literal Hitler, he's Mussolini, whatever the else. Now, how the do you expect people to react to something like that? I don't want to hear this about, oh, we got to turn the temperature down. No, you, guy. You turn.
Sorry, I'll let that loop around a little bit. Yeah, he's absolutely right. I think it's now that they've turned the temperature up to the boiling point, and now that Trump is still alive, surviving an assassination attempt, now it's time to turn the temperature down, guys? Yeah, right.
Yeah, and they want us to turn it down. They're not going to turn it down. They think that we need to calm down with being upset about this stuff and talking about it. They're not going to stop with the rhetoric. They're not going to stop calling them dangerous and Nazi and fascist, and they're not going to stop coming at all of us. So they're not talking to themselves. They're talking to us because they're a bunch of hypocritic, lying pieces of. They're evil.
Yes, they're evil. Speaking of evil people, Edward Tucker has been trolling us here on Facebook. Says Dacey out chasing Trudeau today, stalking him. It's spelled STALKING.
Stalk. Yeah. I don't think they were stalking to sit outside the Prime Minister's office. CBC and CTV were there already. He's a public official. He's the Prime Minister of this country. He's an absolute piece of crap. And I'm going to get to any location I can to get to him and make sure that he knows that Canadians aren't happy with him. And I'm going to film him wherever he goes. If there's people around yelling at him, I'm going to film that. I'm going to share it with the world. And every time I get close to him, take a walk down the street, I'm going to give him the business. And he hears me, man. I've given it to him pretty good a few times. Absolutely. It works good when it's even more calm, man. If I get the chance, I like to talk to him, make him look at me.
The good guys appreciate you, Dacey. Like the good guys, we really appreciate you. This is why
Muckraker. Yeah. We'd have stayed along longer, but whatever. A half a tornado and a show came up, so I had to run from downtown. But you can't win them all.
Yeah. Okay. And here is what our media are doing. Here's CTV News. Russia accuses Biden administration of creating atmosphere for attack on Trump. So I'm accusing Biden of creating this atmosphere as well. And I think Dacey has said something to that effect with them setting the conditions. This seems like a pretty rational conclusion that a lot of us are coming to. But CTV is making this out to be Russian disinformation. Like I got any of this information from, the Kremlin. We
haven't heard anything about Russia. I haven't heard a single post from Russia, but now this is what they do, right? Because we share this opinion that apparently Russians have. We are Putin adjacent, or we are I guess we are Putin. I think there's worse people you could be, I guess. Could be Biden. But, This is just one of these things that they use. Russia, scary Russia. It's the same thing they did with the collusion to try to take down Trump. Now they're using it against people like me and you man. They also said that Russia was behind the convoy and paying me, and Putin pays this. And I ain't never seen any paycheck from Putin or Trump or anybody else.
No, it's just a smear tactic, and again, it's to get all of these lunatics to hate us and want us dead. So CTV doubling down. Marianne LaBelle is saying, "Love what you do, Chris," and give us the hearts and the thumbs up. And Wabbit Warriors on YouTube, they're saying, "I as well." And James Bullock is saying, "We appreciate all you do, Dacey." Yeah, we absolutely do. So you keep up the great work, man, and screw Edward Tucker. That guy's obviously a smooth brain lunatic. And speaking of smooth brain lunatics, here's a little bit more from CBC News Network.
Well, Donald Trump, one thing we know, if history is any sort of guide here, is that when Donald Trump says something, we see his very aggressive supporters, his most dedicated base of support. They will repeat things verbatim, and they sort of get on board with that. I can give you a couple of examples from our time covering Donald Trump. You go to a rally and you sort of ask these Trump supporters, is there anything that Donald Trump has done that, concerns you or might get you to consider, you might not want to sort of support him anymore. You ask about, it was criminal charges before the conviction had taken place. You ask about criminal charges, and Donald Trump supporters, I found at rallies and different events that he's speaking at, you'll hear the Trump supporters almost verbatim repeat back to you what Donald Trump has said about the issues. So when it comes to his criminal charges, his supporters will say things like, this is done by orchestrated Joe Biden. Joe Biden is weaponizing the system of justice against him. And this is an attack on Donald Trump because he's doing so well in the polls, those kinds of things. And so what Donald Trump says at any time matters, but what Donald Trump is going to say in this moment may matter more than any other point in his time in politics. Because clearly the temperature in this country, the situation is at a breaking point, and the tone he takes will be adopted by those who support him, as we have seen time after time after time. So that will be the question, the tone that Donald Trump is going to take in the aftermath of this, now the investigation into what exactly happened and what were the motivations of the shooter and what led up to this. But that is going to be a key part of how this country responds on what Donald Trump says and does.
Katie Simpson in siren-plagued Milwaukee, Wisconsin tonight.
So we're laughing because people are commenting, like Cindy was just saying, all of her friends are talking, just saying. Oh my God! Like
laugh out loud, man. Burst out there.
There's that inner awfulness manifesting on the exterior, as I'm often pointing out. Like you can almost spot these people, like from outer space.
Yeah.
So this is the CBC News take. The left is murderously violent, but the real concern here is that the right has a tone about their murderous violence. Ooh, scary tone, not the murderous violence.
They're repeating things, and she listed things that Trump said, which are very tame and the truth. Like,
yes.
Biden has weaponized these things. It's all off there. They have like trumped up the most ridiculous, made up crimes that anyone has ever been accused of ever. We have people committing actual crimes that we know about. We have all this crazy stuff going on. Oh my goodness! It's like the nerve of those people. They're repeating Trump's talking points. The truth, man. That's called. They're repeating the truth.
Yeah,
that
if it comes out of truth's or out of Trump's mouth, then it's not truth. That is the position that they're taking. So just absurdity abounds. Okay, here is another CBC News Network take. Sorry, guys, but we got to see what the other side is saying here.
And this picks up a little bit, I think, on what Alex was talking about. What will Donald Trump say? Again, back to rallies that I've attended and rallies that we've all seen on television over the course of years now. We've seen him in an animated fashion, when a demonstrator rises up, right? Get him the hell out of there, right? Things like that, that kind of language that Trump has used. At other times in other circumstances, the kind of language that goes down the path toward violence. How will Trump respond to this verbally? What will he tell the MAGA crowd about how he is, about what he thinks about what has happened? What will they think? To where Steve and Alex are in Milwaukee.
Sorry, look at this guy. All these people are giving the finger to the media. It's freaking glorious.
Looking off the guy talking in real time almost, man. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, he might as well be talking to this guy who's narrating on or giving the finger to this guy who's narrating on CBC News Network. It's pretty great.
I'm supposed to go tomorrow. There is a giant security perimeter around the area where the convention is slated to happen. Security is about to go up, times 100. When I heard the news about this today, I was at home starting to pack for the convention, and I was taking a gas mask because there is certainly the potential for violence in any of these such events these days, especially as we've been saying throughout the afternoon here, especially in this time of such deep division and polarization and the violent rhetoric, not just from President Trump at times, but from his followers and from others who are observers to this and participants in the various rallies and things like that. It's, the bigger picture is that this is a sad time in America, right? That it gets to this. This is not a country that is new to violence in the.
Good Lord. Yeah, the problem is Americanism and Republicans, and everybody should be very, very afraid of the Republicans in the right wing right now because they're getting shot. Like, is that victim blame?
Well, you got to be really careful in case you get some blood spatter on you, and you could get an infection. Maybe it could stain your white outfit or whatever. Like it could go really, really badly, really bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I mean it's what they're stumping for. But there are signs of hope out there. I mean, I thought this was a pretty good take from Maxime Bernier. And full disclosure, I'm a PPC member, so, take it for what it's worth. And he says, patriots and peace lovers in Canada and the world are relieved that this odious assassination attempt failed. The extreme polarization, contempt for human rights, and warmongering pushed by the globalists and the radical left are turning our world into a tinderbox. Let's redouble our efforts to fight extremism and violence and find peaceful solutions. Yeah, I think that's some pretty good messaging there. Coming from leadership, and Pierre Poilievre surprised me as well. And I hate this guy, full disclosure, but here he is saying, I condemn in the strongest terms the attempted murder of former President Trump today. I'm relieved he's safe. My prayers are with other innocent people harmed or killed by this heinous act. I am also happy that the suspected shooter is dead. Democracy must prevail. And of course, he took all kinds of heat for that online, saying, I'm glad the shooter is dead, but you know what? I'm glad too.
Yeah, me too. And I was actually surprised to see him write that. But I mean, that's one. I'm not going to fault him there. He's right. I'm glad he's dead. That shooter deserves to be dead. He got exactly what he deserves. I mean, he's right. So
yeah, I think so too.
When he's wrong, I'll be happy to tell you, but he's right there.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm not a Poilievre guy or anything like that. Like I tear him to shreds most of it, but I give credit where credit is due, or I try to, So I thought that was really good. I was like, wow. And you know what? It was like he's putting that in there. The rest of the tweet could have kind of stood on its own. Without even putting that line in there. Like he could have just went, I'm relieved he is safe. My prayers with other innocent people harmed or killed by this heinous act. Democracy must prevail. But he took the extra step to say, I am also happy that the suspected shooter is dead. And I think he did that just to trigger the wokesters. So good on Pierre for this one. Like I said, credit where credit is due. I'm quite pleased with that tweet. And Rex Glaser was talking about this, and he says, every single person in Canada outraged over Poilievre's comment about the assassin being killed would be dancing in the streets if Trump had been assassinated. They also cheered Trudeau's use of the War Measures Act on citizens protesting his government. They love the idea of using army tanks on unarmed citizens. They fully supported Trudeau holding political prisoners of the state in jail without bail for months. They also just happen to be Israel-hating anti-Semites who fully support pro-Hamas Nazis terrorizing Jews in Canada. Every one of these Trudeau-supporting, far-left, China-loving, democracy-hating traitors has wanted a civil war on our streets and love what happened to Trump. Based take from Rex Glaser there. I appreciate that. And Rex is an RCAF veteran, like me. So, props to another brother there, another pigeon like me. And here is Veterans for Freedom, and they're tweeting this out. They say they want you dead. And this is the retweeting petrified COVID parent here. Dr. Karen Pinder is a professor and course director at UBC Medical School, so University of British Columbia. And here she is. She says, damn, so close, too bad. And what a glorious day this could have been. This is a lot of what the left are saying. They're cheering for the assassination of a U.S. president that would undoubtedly lead to a civil war. This is what they want. And she is a professor. And as you can see here, the counter signal is tweeting out, Dr. Karen's account has been suspended. Well, good. I'm glad her account has been suspended. There needs to be repercussions for this. And here's Globalist News BC. And they say, the University of British Columbia is investigating a social media post, possibly from a UBC professor, which was posted shortly after former President Donald Trump was injured in a shooting. So they're investigating. Her employer is. That's good. And I believe she may be getting fired. So I hope so anyway. That's promising. And a little bit more here. Somebody was just asking about this a little while ago, so I didn't answer because I knew this was coming up. And Veterans for Freedom is tweeting this out against us. We have 2 serving CAF members, both cooks, to no one's surprise, openly comment the Trump assassination attempt. Think they're about to enter, quote unquote, finding out stage. Quote, Iyer issued a message in February 2022 warning, quote, any member of the armed forces who brings discredit to the CAF through either conduct or performance deficiencies, be it through actions or words, must be held accountable, close quote. Stay tuned. So I think that there's going to be some action taken on this one again, as well, I should say. But here are the tweets. Someone tried to make America great again, but missed. Yeah, that's despicable. And starting to see the reports on the attempt made at solving America's problems last night. So close. Yeah, this is what they want. And they're saying, you blew it. It's an Adam Sandler meme. You blew it. What's that?
So these are coming from serving CAF members.
Yes, serving CAF members, and they're not allowed to comment on politics. Now, it's a bit. This is where we might get into where the politics lies. But regardless,
to some degree, I mean, but they're not. This isn't just a bit of politics. I mean, this is cheering on or hoping for the death of an American president, our closest ally, also.
Yeah. And I believe, just off the top of my head, that because I was going to say, like, there are a couple of different QRNOs, I guess King's RNOs now, King's Rules and Orders that could apply here, but usually, like 1936 is the one on improper comments, and that is mostly around politics, especially Canadian politics, Canadian government policy or other department policy, military matters, this kind of thing. You're not supposed to comment. I always kind of skirted that when I was in, and I would talk about American politics because it doesn't say that you can't talk about American politics, and I'm a political junkie, so I gotta like satiate that somehow. But I think what Iyer is citing here is actually 1914 out of the Code and Service Discipline there, King's Regulations and Orders. And it's really broadly worded, where any member of the armed forces who brings discredit to the CAF, and I think it actually says, in the order itself, it says, if seen or heard by a member of the public could bring discredit on the CAF. That was the one that they stuck on the Halifax 5 when they went into the park there in Halifax, while people were, protesting the sign of the statue of Cornwallis. And those guys, I mean, I showed the whole video here on a previous live stream, and those guys said things like, Canada's a pretty good country to live in. And for that, they got slapped with QRNO 1914. If viewed by a member of the public, could bring discredit on the CAF. And they really honed in on the word could for that one. So, we'll see if this applies in the other direction, if it applies to these left-wing lunatics the way that it does to just kind of regular people. So that remains to be seen.
I won't hold my breath on that one, but hopefully we can hope.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Thomas is saying 5F for them. Yeah, I mean, God willing. So the 5F is fired for military. They're for all the pogues out there who don't speak military. Okay, here's Adam Bees, and he says, disgusting. Everyone should contact media at University of Ontario, Guelph.ca, I think, and ask the University of Guelph why their far left woke educators are celebrating the attempt at the assassination of Donald Trump. And so here is Sho Jacobs. This is an adjunct associate professor, Department of Management, and she was tweeting out, when 4 inches really matters. Here's the aftermath of the incident as it unfolded on MSNBC. It was probably less than 4 inches, but you can see how they're hoping for the death of a president that would undoubtedly lead to civil war.
I think she's trying to make some sexual innuendo there as well, man. She's being doubly gross about it.
Yeah. Well, she's on the left, so.
Yeah. And this is what we got to do. Like turnabout is fair play with these people. They've been coming at us forever. I am not a fan of cancel culture, but these people deserve what they get. Screenshot it. If you know them, make sure people know. They want to do this. They're posting this publicly. This is what they believe. Let's just make sure that everybody really knows what they believe and let the chips fall where they may.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, and this is why, like, I've heard some debate around this. This seems to be coming back, where even people like in the X spaces are saying somebody like Destiny that I showed there a little while ago was absolutely disgusting. He should be demonetized and these kinds of things for saying this. I don't think so. I think, like, I'm basically a free speech absolutist. If it's not incitement, if it's not covered under the criminal code, then let her fly. And let's just let these people do all our work for us. Like, we don't have to go digging around. They are so emboldened at this point that they will show themselves for who they really are, and get it all out there. And let's let's make sure that we keep records and criticize. I don't want to force these people underground where they're just going to go into some Trantifa chat and organize and these ideas can fester. I want to get it all out in the open. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. Let's let these people show themselves for who they are.
Yeah, I tend to agree, right? Let them expose themselves. We don't want them to be banned. We don't want them to be taken down. We need everyone to know exactly who these people are so that we know what we're dealing with. Let them out themselves. And that's what they're doing, man. They're so quick. They can't help themselves. They out themselves every time. So just got to let them, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. And here is another one, Vicky Campbell with the Canadian flag. This is another one of these leftists on X here. And Kevin is saying, just did a wellness check on the left tonight. It's not going good. And he's doing the rolling on the floor laughing. Vicky Campbell is saying, unfortunately, I believe the people who died and were injured during Trump's fake assassination attempt were casualties of a bad stunt gone wrong, just like the people who died and were injured on January 6th. And again, all because of effing Donald Trump. Well, I mean, the January 6th one, of course, they're still cleaving to that idea that it was an insurrection when, the only person who was shot on that day was one of the protesters. She was a 14-year Air Force veteran shot in the neck for climbing through an already broken window, already inside the Capitol. And they tried to spin this story about a security guard being bludgeoned to death with a fire extinguisher when in fact he died of a heart attack like 2 days later or something like that. But these people still believe this stuff. Like, this is damage that's been done to the social fabric, So I don't know how we bring them back, quite frankly, but I think it's shame. I think that's what they really need. Okay. And here is a Marine vet. This is another guy who was injured. So we have a dead firefighter and a Marine vet. These are the kinds of patriots that I guess show up at a Trump rally, not surprisingly. Post Millennial is reporting Marine vet in medically induced coma upgraded to stable condition after being shot during Trump assassination attempt. The 57-year-old Marine veteran was struck twice, once in the liver and once in the chest. So good news is he is stabilizing at least. So that's good to see. And somebody sent this to me in a message. I had to share it with everybody. Well, I'll give Chet Chisholm credit for this. This was, he's pretty good, guys. If you don't know Chet, you should give him a follow. And he says, shots are fired at a Trump rally and a senior citizen, a Marine, and a firefighter are hit. Shots are fired at Antifa by Rittenhouse, and a felon, a wife beater, and a pedophile are hit. What are the odds? I think that is a spectacular compare and contrast. Thank you very much. Friend of the program, Chet Chisholm, that I'll be speaking to shortly, I think, on these matters. And Dacey, that brings us into the impact in Canada here. So I thought I'd prime us a little bit with an old tweet of yours. This is from February 5th, and this is a 6-minute video. I don't think we need to watch the whole thing. But Dacey is saying, radical trans activists surrounded Christine Cameron and forced her into a doorway of the Sir John A. Macdonald building on Wellington Street, where Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is attending an event. PPS told Christine it's not their job to help her. Eventually, an Ottawa police liaison officer came in to escort Christine out through the mob. And just to give you guys a flavor of this.
You'll have to deal with those guys, not me. Make sure you get the eyes so we can get, yeah. Perfect. That's the best view ever. Good view. If you come close to me, look at this is my personal space. Don't come any closer. I will defend myself. Oh, that's a fake laugh. You don't think I won't? Look at how close they have to be. 'Cause they don't know what personal space is.
Why don't you go to your own side?
This is my side. This is my street, my building.
Good for you.
Protect trans kids is what they're shrieking there. That's about as much as I think any of us can take. 1 minute is enough. And there's more to follow, I think, Dacey, with respect to what's going on in Ottawa, especially around Christine Cameron.
Yeah, 100%. Not just Christine, but I mean, the violence and stuff picking up. Christine, though, in particular, was attacked just the other night while leaving Blues Fest. So it actually turns out the individual that came after Christine came out. It was a woman and a man afterwards that came after. Same woman. Woman was a young woman, maybe early 20s. Came at me and Danny the other night too after Blues Fest. So this is a repeat offender, if you want to call it. She came after us, accusing us of being aggressive. She ended up clocking Christine Cameron in the head. Christine's eye she had a good shiner, and it was blacker than mine. Ended up after I got clubbed over the head. So she got her good. Police were there. Police, they actually told, like, straight up, we are not arresting anyone. Let the girl go.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. It's not hard to tell which side they're on. I mean, the police are picking sides here. Nothing dangerous
wild.
going on here in this country. And so here is some of the footage that Dacey got. This is a Blues Fest in Ottawa going on now.
So this is last night. So we were out with Trump flag. So we'd had a Trump flag for about a week. I wasn't there every night, but they've had a Trump flag down at Blues Fest for at least a week. And it's been an interesting kind of social experiment to watch people react. This was prior to the Trump assassination attempt. When we heard that happen, I got my MAGA hat, Right Glenn came, and Christine Cameron got attacked that night as well. So these two things. We said, forget this. Christine's getting attacked. They're attacking us for Trump stuff. They've attempted to kill Trump. We're going down there. We're bringing our Trump flags. We're bringing our Trump hats. And we're going to sit down there. And we're going to let everybody know that you're not going to intimidate us out of the damn street. We're not scared of you. And we're going to be here. So we did. But there was a lot of unhinged lunatics like this guy you're going to see here. There was people that said they want, well, we'll watch this guy now. I'll explain a little more.
Yes, and slow clap, everybody. Slow clap for Dacey and the boys for getting out there and doing this. We appreciate your courage, man. And yeah, let's get a look at these lunatics.
I wish they hadn't missed, bitch!
The psychopath. Yeah, wish they hadn't missed, bitch. That's what it
Straight up. So that was, I mean, there was dozens and dozens and dozens of people who said the same type of thing, basically. There's people that came by. It's hard to get the audio, but there's some that came by and said, I wish you all had bullets in your head. This is all being done within, feet of Ottawa. You can see the multiple Ottawa police cars. There's quite a few police around. They watched people scream and yell at us, wish death upon us. Did nothing about it, obviously. Some things are allowed, right? You can wish death upon a right winger or Dacey or his friends, but I know it wouldn't work the other way.
Yeah, and we're getting lots of comments here, like Danielle is saying, thank you so much for flying our Trump flag. Much respect, Dacey. 1,000%, man. Oh, yeah, I love it. Make America Great Again, number 45. And it's going to be number 47 as well. Can't wait for that. Now, you guys did a little bit of a video here. I think I'll just let you tell the story. I'll show about a minute or something here where you guys were talking about what happened to Christine as she was leaving Blues Fest. I'll just show like a little bit of it, and then you can come in and fill the rest.
And decided to jump back and stay from what I heard, because I turned around and nobody was. I was left on myself on the little island that we're on.
So they physically attacked her, though, right? They physically attacked her.
Yeah, they fucking the girl, the guy's girlfriend, gave her a shot, and the guy gave her a shove, or something like that. I don't know.
So two people, like a man and a woman, attacked her.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Somebody attacked her. Yeah.
And then I got wind of it, and I went right at the fucking guy.
Yeah, well, thank God you were there, man. Did you make contact with either of them, or what happened there?
I made contact with him, but I wouldn't hit the girl. He was attacking me from the side while the guy gave it to him.
Yeah.
And I fucking kind of tripped. He hit me in the side. He pushed me at the same time, and I lost my step. And then, but I got the best of him.
Yeah. And did the police make contact with those people, or what's happening there?
Hit their names and that's it, and let them go.
So they released it. So two people attacked Christine. Christine's injured. I saw her on your live, Danny, with ice on her face. And the police allowed those two people to just leave.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
All right.
he made the first shot at me. And
I think that's about the bulk of it there, Dacey. Do you want to fill us in on any additional
Yeah.
details?
So basically, what happened as Blues Fest was clearing out, Christine Cameron actually is a volunteer at Blues Fest. She's been volunteering there for like 18 years. So she finished her shift. She walked out, and the same person, actually, weirdly enough, I didn't know this till afterwards, but same person that came at me and Danny the other night, was coming by, giving the double salute there, and Christine called her a liberal or something. Hey, thanks for letting me know you're a liberal, like you do. And the girl just said, she just can't help herself, right? She's trying to antagonize. Christine called her a liberal. So she engaged further. She came over and got in Christine's face, started giving her crap or whatever, and this went on for a little bit. So Christine gave her a bird. The girl slapped her and pushed her. Christine pushed back, because Christine said she's going to defend herself, and the girl turned and cracked her right in the head. And then the guy got involved. But they had to. So there's police all around, police watching everything the whole night. I mean, dozens of officers in the area. They witnessed this going on. Nothing happened. They had to chase down police. Multiple people that were around had to go and flag police. Christine had to run around trying to point out the person who had just assaulted her, had to force police to even go and identify them or even make contact. Police actually responded to her. I also have this video. It's not out yet. Just going to figure out the best way to post it and whatnot. But I actually have video of the police straight up saying, we're not arresting anyone here, before knowing a single thing. They didn't know what happened. They just knew maybe Christine had been attacked or whatever, but we're not arresting anyone. What kind of blanket statement is that to make?
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous. So, I mean, the police are out here after just having made a huge deal about Diagolon and talking about violent, ideologically motivated violence extremists. We hear this all the time. They're talking about this. When we have these extremists in our streets, they're left-wing lunatics. They're completely unhinged. They're committing violence in our streets on a regular basis. The police are ignoring it. They're refusing to act. They won't arrest these people. They tell you they won't arrest. When something happens, they let them go. There's no follow-up. There's no charges. We don't even know who these people are. We don't have their information, so we can't even file a private prosecution if we wanted to. So, I mean, it's absolute lunacy. And this violence has been escalating in our streets. The rhetoric is escalating from them. And I've been attacked. Christine's been attacked. Other people I know have been targeted and attacked. And these aren't like little, these aren't internet name callings. These are violent physical attacks in the streets of Ottawa. And I'm sure this isn't the only place it's happening. I just can only speak to what I've physically endured and watched my friends endure. But this violence is taking place in our streets, and it's getting worse.
Yeah. And you mentioned that there was this girl involved, and I think we're suspicious.
Yes.
Perhaps this is the one who was involved in the assault. I'll just a little bit of this clip here. She came. So set us up here. She came up to you guys.
Yeah, so this was Tuesday night of last week. So this was a few nights before Christine got hurt, which was Saturday night. Same girl. I'm 99% sure. I have long video of the other night too, and I've got some pictures that we've been able to compare. So we were just sitting. This was after I forget who it was. It might have been Jelly Roll. Anyways, after one of the concerts this week, and we were just sitting after the show, like kind of on on chairs, like camping chairs, just hanging out, minding our own business. Really, we had a flag with us probably, but this woman comes up and starts engaging us. You'll kind of see, but she just goes
and
off.
What kind of flag was it? Just
Well, we had a Trump flag, we had a Canadian flag, but yeah, we had a Trump flag that said "F your feelings," Trump 2024, F your feelings.
Nice, love it. And this leftist is triggered, so here she is.
Where's the show, man?
So she says, "Look how aggressive we are."
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's coming up to them and saying, "You're so aggressive."
So before I started filming, like she had done this a bit and kind of yelled at us. That's why I started filming, and then she kind of did the provocative dance before coming back and calling me aggressive. Like, so she had kind of been going for a bit, and I'm like, "This is too not much." So I turned my camera on. Kind of glad I did.
Yeah. I'll show a little bit more of this here, just about a minute or so. Just to give you the idea of what's going on here.
Just listening to the show.
Everybody's looking.
Fuck that shit. You gotta go.
You're so aggressive.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah. Focus on the non-aggressive people.
Look who's standing over us.
Yeah, she's walking over to you, standing over you guys and saying, "You're so aggressive." Projection much? Like, good Lord.
This kind of continues for a while. Eventually, Danny kind of gets her to admit that, well, I also hate my government. We're like, oh, we're making progress.
Yeah.
And then she kind of gets into it. But I mean, it's also she's drunk probably, but same type of thing, right? She comes over, she's literally up over top. If a man did that, I wouldn't let a man stand up over me like that, man.
No.
She comes in aggressively, she's talking nonsense. She was talking nonsense before, and she tried to do the same thing the next night, right? Like, she just can't walk by her. Like, her anger and her emotion are too triggering for her. It's like moth to a flame. There's the enemy. I need to go get them, right? There's the evil fascist or whatever she's been programmed to think now. They have to go in. And unfortunately, the next time she came around, she was with a man, which made things a little more complicated for people.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was her dad, it was an older man.
But I mean, like, to me, like, she's the one coming over and she's like getting up in people's faces. Cindy's saying gross. I agree. She's over there, like, just getting like really close to them and, twerking at them or something. I don't know. So I think what's going on here is she wants a spanking. So I think she's got her little short skirt on over here and she sees some hyper masculine men kind of hanging off to the side with their badass Trump flag. And even though she appears hostile, what she's really looking for, she's like, "Oh, you guys are really aggressive." That means she's going up to
you might be onto something, Jeff.
Yeah, she's going over to the high T males, right? So these are high testosterone males. Like, "Oh, aren't you aggressive, huh? You want to give me, I'm misbehaving. Look at me misbehave."
And then she came back and targeted one of our women. That's interesting. You make it sound fun. I have to think about this a little bit, Jeff.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, man. Secretly, she's hot for you guys because she's tired of hanging with betas, and all she really wants is a big, strong man to show her who's boss.
I kid and I joke, but this did end in violence for Christine, right? And like when it's a 90-pound whatever small person, okay, she was armed, that would be different. But like you do get very hostile, angry, bigger people too coming at us. This was just an example I had from this week, and it's also hilarious, kind of. It's hilarious, and it's like terrible, kind of like if you can't laugh, what can you do? People get at me for saying stuff hilarious sometimes, but like, man, it's hilarious and terrible at the same time. That's possible.
We do have to laugh too, guys. Like, humor is a coping strategy, and there's the only thing blacker than Trudeau's heart is a soldier's humor. So no matter what it is, I'm gonna joke.
I got to get ready to jet here. Maybe for just for the people asking, I did wait for Freeland outside Trudeau's office for most of the day, or for a good chunk of the day. Freeland did end up going to his office, so the rumor was that she was maybe coming in. She was in for meetings. There's been a lot of rumors speculating that she may be out. So kind of the scuttlebutt was that Freeland would be out as deputy PM, headed to Foreign Affairs, Jolie out at Foreign Affairs, and then a by-election to try to get Carney in. But I mean, this is all wild speculation. I ended up having to leave before Freeland or Trudeau left the office, so I could come on tonight. But there's speculation abounds as to what's going on there. It's not too normal to see Freeland walk into the office, and the meeting was going on for a while. They were there for a couple hours after she went in. So
I do have your clip lined up for that, but sorry, like we ran long. There's just so much to talk about here. But,
yeah, I know, Tom.
But I'll leave you with this then, Dacey. I understand you got to go.
Yeah, this is nice.
Yeah. Do you want to set this up for the viewers, please?
Yeah, so this is actually before it was Nos, I believe, was playing this night. So the main show, kind of like to close out the night, or the show on Sunday night at Blues Fest in Ottawa. And this is Right Blends. It's his Canadian flag on there, and that below, for those who don't know, is a Betsy Ross flag. It's the original 13-star American flag when the colonies first formed. So we had that flag out after the Trump incident, and to start off the show that night, over the PA system, all of a sudden, Old Ragged Flag came on, and this flag was flying above my head, and it was just quite a poignant moment that they would play that. That wasn't us playing this, so that people realize that wasn't us playing this. This was playing from Blues Fest, and I was just recording the flag. So I think that's probably a wonderful way to go.
Like, these were the Blues Fest organizers playing this song?
Yes, yeah, before the show. That's a good
sign. That's a good sign. Let's check it out.
And it got powder burned the night that Francis Scott Key said Washington writing, so can you see. And it got a bad rip in New Orleans, Packenham and Jackson tugging at its seam. And it almost fell at the Alamo, beside the Texas flag that she waved on.
Remember the Alamo.
She got cut in the sword at Chancellorsville, and she got cut again at Shiloh Hill. There was Robert E. Lee, Beauregard, and Bragg, and the South wind blew hard on that ragged old flag. On Flanders Field in World War I, she got a big hole from a bird.
Sorry to interrupt, Jeff. I got a jet, but
it's
thank
okay,
you so
buddy.
much for this. And this is a great way to go out. Let's talk again soon.
Sorry we ran long. We did get to all your clips. If the rest of you want to stick around, I'll burn through Dacey's clips here as well. But he's got to run, and he's getting lots of love. And Red Blended saying, we will continue to stand for what's right. Yeah, I know you will. Thank you guys so much. And June Marie is giving you the hearts there, buddy. So, we appreciate you. And Godspeed, man. And, as always, please reach out with whatever it is that you want to talk about, man. And we'll bring you back in here. All right.
Appreciate it. And we'll talk again soon. Thanks so much. Bye, everyone.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Okay. It's just me now, guys. I'm just going to burn through the rest of these clips here. Again, like props to Dacey for everything he's doing. He's Canada's favorite muckraker for a reason. So we really appreciate him around here. And, Muckraker Monday is a regular feature on the show, obviously. I could do one every week, I think, if there's enough to talk to. It's always great having Chris on here. Okay, so we'll go through a few more things here. I'm just about at the end, but not quite. Matt Wallace was tweeting this out. He says, this interview, and he's taking this from the Washington Examiner. He's got some quotes up here. I didn't go right to the newspaper article, but he's quoted in the article itself. Quote, former President Donald Trump has completely rewritten his convention speech in light of the assassination attempt against him on Saturday and will call on Thursday for a new effort at national unity. In an exclusive interview with the Washington Examiner a day after being hit by a sniper's bullet, Trump said he wanted to take advantage of a historic moment and draw the country together. Quote, the speech I was going to give on Thursday was going to be a humdinger, close quote, he said. Quote, had this not happened, this would have been one of the most incredible speeches, close quote, aimed mostly at the policies of President Joe Biden. Quote, honestly, it's going to be a whole different speech now, close quote. He has switched, he said, from planning to excite his voter base to one that demonstrates his belief that the attack on him at a rally in Pennsylvania had changed the election campaign entirely. Both Republicans and Democrats have acknowledged this in the aftermath of Saturday's shocking incident. Trump said people all across the country from different walks of life and different political views have called him and noted he was saved from death because he turned from the crowd to look at a screen showing data he was using in his speech. Quote, that reality is just setting in, close quote, he said. Quote, I rarely look away from the crowd. Had I not done that in that moment, well, we would not be talking today, would we, close quote. Talking as he boarded his plane in Bedminster, New Jersey for Milwaukee, where the Republican National Convention starts Monday and lasts through Thursday, Trump said his speech will meet the moment that history demands. Quote, it is a chance to bring the country together. I was given that chance, close quote. Early Sunday morning, Trump posted on Truth Social that it was, quote, God alone who prevented the unthinkable from happening, close quote, and that he would, quote, fear not, close quote. Again, in talking to the Washington Examiner, he invoked God for his deliverance. Quote, this is a chance to bring the whole country, even the whole world together. The speech will be a lot different than it would have been 2 days ago, close quote, he said. The Washington Examiner's interview with Trump had been due to take place on his airplane on the return flight from the rally to Bedminster. That arrangement put this reporter just feet from Trump when he was shot. Trump hailed Corey Comparatori, the former vice chief who was shot and killed at the rally, and two other supporters, David Dutch and James Copenhaver, who were wounded and recovered at the local hospital in stable condition. Trump said his decision to raise his hand when the Secret Service was leading him off the stage was to let people know he was okay, quote, and that America goes on, we go forward, that we are strong, close quote, he said. The photograph of him holding his fist in the air blood streaming across his face as the agents surrounded him has already become the iconic image of the 2024 election. If he speaks in Milwaukee of uniting the country, it will echo President Ronald Reagan, who in 1981 projected strength as he too recovered from wounds far graver than Trump's, inflicted by a would-be assassin in Washington, D.C. Trump said when he stood up and saw the crowd had not moved, he needed to tell them that he and the country were going to be okay. Quote, the energy coming from the people there in that moment that they stood there, it's hard to describe what I felt like, but I knew the world was looking, and I knew that history would judge this, and I knew that I had to let them know we were okay, close quote. Wow. And there he is, blood streaming down his face, being helped up by the Secret Service. Just incredible. And I'm really looking forward to seeing or to hearing what he's got to say in that speech on Thursday. He's taken the right tact. Like, you know, I think he's gonna come out of this like leading us into the next stage of the Enlightenment. And the signs are everywhere. You know, here's Naya Vanderstil on X, and give her a follow. She does great work. She does a lot of like statistical analysis and data and stuff like this. So I always check her out when I'm getting ready for shows. So, but she's here saying, I did not expect that after being hit by a bullet, after being hit with a bullet by an assassin, Trump would stand immediately and raise his fist up and scream, fight. You never know a person's character until they are attacked and vulnerable. And this wasn't the Trump I've been told. Everything changed. And I actually commented, I said, good to hear. Yeah, I mean, I've been following Naya. I've never talked to her, and I don't really know like her political leanings or anything, but she seems to be indicating that, you know, the Trump that she was told, or maybe she was led to believe Trump was a certain way. And after having seen the way he conducted himself under these circumstances, she realizes that he's not the man that she's been led to believe. He's not a fascist. He's a goddamn hero. And man, he's fighting for the whole world. Like, Jesus. Okay, moving on. Here's Stephanie Tyler, and she says graduated in 2012 with a degree in women's studies, and that is Marxism, by the way. That is just third wave feminism is just Marxism applied to gender. So she graduated in 2012 with a degree in women's studies, cried in 2016 when Trump got elected, lost touch with the Dems somewhere around Me Too, discovered entrepreneurship, updated my voter registration in 2018, but didn't tell anyone, told myself I was a single issue voting centrist. The last 6 to 12 months, I've believed I was going to abstain from voting in the upcoming election because the options are equally terrible. But watching Trump survive an assassination attempt and act like a total fucking savage just shifted me in some strange patriotic gear that my fancy feminism, white men, bad, infected brain never showed me. Like the dude took a bullet and stood up with blood dripping down his face and rallied a fucking crowd while fist bumping, yelling, fight. Sorry, but I'm voting for that. And saying it out loud feels so freeing. And since 2012, Stephanie would be so pissed, but that's okay because 2012, Stephanie didn't know shit. Yeah, you know, we're all learning. And she's also saying feels so good to be out of the closet. So yeah, this is, I think, a watershed moment. I mean, everybody is kind of showing their true character right now, so it's really easy to tell who the real evil people are and who the people who just got duped are. You know, and I use the Matrix analogy sometimes because the Matrix is a fourth turning, and the thing is that, you know, Neo is the red-pilled guy, we're the red-pilled people here, and what Neo does is he wants to free the slaves in the Matrix, right? He wants to destroy the Matrix, so he goes back in there, but he doesn't really bother like the NPCs, the blue pill characters. You know, he understands like they're just slaves and they don't know it. They're not the target. But when Agent Smith does show up, when the radicals show up, he doesn't fight a blue pill fight. He fights a red pill fight. He just kind of goes, none of this is real and I can do whatever I want. Well, that's what we need to do. None of the things they say are real. These narratives that they construct, this matrix that they're building for us all, none of it is real. We can say whatever the hell we want. And so should we. So good for Stephanie here, coming out and sharing her thoughts on that. Women's studies major coming out and saying she's voting for Trump. I think that's pretty substantial. And here's a clip from Dacey. I'm sorry I took so long to get to it. But anyway, it was really great to have him on while we had him. But here he is covering the beat in Ottawa as always.
Dacey here. The Prime Minister's office behind me, where you can see Justin Trudeau's detail, is here. That should mean that Justin Trudeau's in the office. I've also gotten word that Justin Trudeau will be meeting with Chrystia Freeland today. Not sure what the meeting's about, but we hear that Justin Trudeau will be meeting with Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland today. You'll also notice something a bit unusual. CBC, or some sort of mainstream media, already waiting on the Prime Minister here. Got the big shoulder-mounted camera right by Justin Trudeau's vehicle. So it's not very usual to see legacy media waiting outside the Prime Minister's office. I can't recall if I have ever seen that before. So that's probably a sign that something may be going on here today. I'm being told Justin Trudeau meeting with Freeland. I'm going to keep an eye on things here. I'll have more later.
So hard to say what's going on there, but things are definitely shaken up. Oh, and here is a good clip. I thought anyway, this is Vince Langman sharing this out. This is the radical left today. Yeah, this is what's going on the radical left right now. Check it out.
Hey, Trump got shot at. Got shot at? Trump got shot at. So, like, did he? Oh, yeah, he lived. Huh. Yeah, and what's worse is he looked really cool when it happened. What do you mean he looked cool when it happened? He unfortunately looked very cool when it happened. How do you look cool getting shot at? Well, like, what did he do? Pop right back up with blood streaming down his face, pumping a fist in the air, shouting USA, USA, USA until a crowd of thousands joined in? That's exactly what he did. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. I know. Crap. We're gonna lose the election, huh? Big time.
Yes, they are. And if not, then, well, I don't even know if not, but I think that, you know, a lot of these women's studies majors are probably coming to the same conclusions right now. So this is good to see. Okay, and here's Dinesh D'Souza. He is great. He's got some great books. And he says, and he was a political prisoner of Obama. He did 3 years, I think. And that was over some, election stuff. He donated too much money to somebody through some proxies and stuff like that. Nobody's ever gone to jail for it before. Everybody does it, even though it is illegal. Nobody's gone to jail for it before, but he did, because it was in an attempt to, it was against the Obama agenda, which is the agenda that we're living through right now. It's still Obama. He's the one still kind of running things. Okay, here is Joe Biden.
In America, we resolve our differences at the battle box. That's how we do it, at the battle box, not with bullets. In America.
At the battle box, Joe? Okay. Not with bullets, though. Okay, I guess we're just going to slug it out with our fists. And here is interactive polls, and they're tweeting out at Polymarket swing states odds. Pennsylvania, Trump, 67%, new high. Holy smoke. That was a swing state, too. And that was the state, if memory serves, that Texas led the whole injunction against. Like they filed a lawsuit, and there were like 20 states who all joined, and I think that one ended up getting dismissed. But Pennsylvania broke its own election laws to keep the polls open and get all those massive boxes full with tens of thousands of votes for Biden in there. So they did all kinds of shenanigans and ended up getting sued anyway. So Wisconsin, another swing state, 65%, Michigan, 61%, Arizona, Trump 78%, Nevada, Trump 79%, Georgia, Trump 77%, North Carolina, Trump 82%. This is an overwhelming red wave that we're looking at. I want to say that out loud because we said this last time and then we saw what happened. Well, they stole the election. I mean, I accept that by hook or by crook. They're going to try to win. Are they going to be able to get away with it this time? I'm not so sure. I think there are a lot of Americans that are mobilizing, like secure the election. This is the kind of thing that they put out there online. And man, the Americans are some pretty damn civic minded people. I lived down there for 4 years and they know their politics and they're active. So I'm feeling surprisingly optimistic in the wake of an assassination attempt against the greatest boomer who's ever lived, Donald Trump. Okay, and here is Media Research Center. Now Biden is confusing Kamala Harris with Trump. Okay, so let's just let Joe Biden do it.
President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket.
Look.
Allison is here saying, yes, my state broke many election laws. So I gather you're from Pennsylvania. That's my understanding as well. I don't have all the details at my fingertips right now, but holy smokes, that was one corrupt election.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president.
President Harris's ability.
He's talking about Kamala Harris. He wouldn't have picked Trump to be his vice president if she were competent. I think it's basically, so that's just ridiculous. So that's the good news, is that's what we're up against. Of course, it's not really him, it's the deep state, right? It's the Obama regime. Here is Cy Jeff, and he's saying, never surrender, never give up, fight, fight, fight. And this is the iconic image that I think is just going to burn itself into the psyche of every Westerner at this point. Like, if you didn't know the fight that we were in before, you know it now. So, and what an epic image. American flag flying in the background. Donald Trump, helped up by the Secret Service. And the first thing he does is raise a fist in the air and shout fight. Just like epic's not even the word. And here is Brett Weinstein. And he's giving a little message of unity here. I think I'll just play a little bit of it.
Hey folks, Dr. Brett Weinstein here. After the attempt on President Trump's life on Saturday, I did a fair amount of thinking. A number of things had become apparent. First, if President Trump had not turned his head at the exact moment he did, we would likely be living in a very different world today. President Trump dodged a bullet, and so did the Republic. Irrespective of the ultimate explanation for the attempt on President Trump's life, it is quite clear that denying adequate Secret Service protection to President Trump and denying any protection at all to Bobby Kennedy is tantamount to the inhabitants of the executive branch inviting the murder of their political opponents. That would be a shocking assertion if we had also not seen the ruthless weaponization of the courts and the abridgment of First Amendment rights, all in an effort to avoid a free and fair election. We are somewhere very dire, and the Republic needs us to do extraordinary things. Our great nation needs to heal. We have been divided against each other. Our institutions have been weaponized against the public. Our universities peddle radical nonsense. Our newspapers bend over backwards to avoid reporting the news. Our tax dollars are poured into holes carved in the universe for reasons that are never explained. These problems are dire. They are going to require solutions that are beyond what any one man can deliver. What we need to do is unrig our system and refound the Republic. President Trump, the country needs you to join forces with Bobby Kennedy and name him as your vice presidential running mate.
Okay, I think I'll stop it there. Swing and a miss there, Brett. Like, I appreciate what he's saying, though. And Brett Weinstein was one of the first professors to get canceled, one of the first people who stood up to the wokeness on campus. So a lot of respect for this guy. And I listened to his podcast, very smart guy. Him and his wife, Heather, they're evolutionary biologists, so highly educated, high-profile people, and they're on the right side of history. And Gen Xers, too. It is the real revolution is generational. It is Gen Xers who are basically overthrowing the boomers at this point because they're at peak institutional power as they started entering into in 2008 with the global financial collapse. And we saw all the other institutions kind of gradually fall like dominoes, whether it be the police in the 2010 G20 protest or the press, turning to propaganda. The universities going woke, all of this stuff. We saw one institution after another just kind of fall like dominoes after that, and they were one of the first ones to fall. And Allison was just saying, she's chiming in again and saying, yep, I'm in Allegheny County, and I live about a half an hour from Butler, where the assassination attempt happened. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate America like you wouldn't believe. I really do. And it just pains my heart to hear a lot of this anti-American sentiment coming from Canadians, and I just give it to them online too. Scumbags, Jesus, bunch of ingrates is what they are. Okay, and here is Holden Colada, and he's saying President Trump calls RFK Jr. to receive Secret Service immediately. So there's Donald Trump on Twitter, and he's saying, in light of what's going on in the world today, I believe it is imperative that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. receive Secret Service protection immediately. Given the history of the Kennedy family, this is the obvious right thing to do. So well done, Donald Trump. And he's calling for Robert F. Kennedy to get his own Secret Service detail. Here is Biden White House caving to that demand.
In light of this weekend's events, the president has directed me to work with the Secret Service to provide protection to Robert Kennedy Jr. In light of...
So there you go. Another win. Good to see. Good to see. But Trump picks Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, a once fierce critic turned loyal ally, as his GOP running mate. I don't know. I was kind of hoping there would be this is just kind of one of those obvious picks. I was hoping it would be something a little more unconventional, like maybe Robert F. Kennedy might be a good pick. I was kind of floating Tulsi Gabbard out there as another means of sort of reaching across the aisle and bringing a Democrat in, or a Democrat, like not the woke kind, but the 90s kind, bringing them into the fore there for a vice presidency. But it's going to be JD Vance. So, it is what it is. And that brings us all the way up to the Veterans for Freedom website, guys. Finally, I'm way over my usual time of 2 hours. I'm over the 3-hour mark, but this is an important episode. I just wanted to make sure that we covered all the bases. Allison was just saying that the shooter, Thomas Crooks, also reportedly had explosives in his vehicle, and his parents' home was raided by the county bomb squad. I don't have confirmation on those details. I did hear some people, or see some people online reporting that, but we'll be providing the updates as we go forward. And Cindy is saying she's on the fence with this one, with the JD Vance one. Yeah, I feel the same way. But Thomas is pointing out JD is a veteran as well. Okay, so yeah, that is an excellent point to be making. And since the days of Rome, we've tried to give veterans the first say in our society for good reason. We can understand what's going on out in the world, or appreciate it to a degree that the average citizen just doesn't. The rest of the world is trying to kill us. They're trying to conquer us. They're trying to dominate us. It's not much has really changed fundamentally with what's going on in the world. It's just that now the savages have AK-47s and potentially nuclear weapons. So we're in a global Mexican standoff, as we have been since the Industrial Revolution led to the Second World War. I mean, not directly, but it seemed like we just couldn't wait to try out our new death toys. We've been in a global Mexican standoff ever since, with the nuclear arms race and so on and so forth. So, this is just our generation's turn to live through one of these crisis eras. Our ancestors, they surmounted them. And I think that we're doing a pretty spectacular job of turning things around here peacefully as we move forward. But anyway, here is the Veterans for Freedom website. You can subscribe to our newsletter here, join Veterans for Freedom if you're a veteran here, and support Veterans for Freedom if you want here, a donor, if you want to make a donation. We're just taking the V4F donations. That helps us with our operational costs right now through the website. That's the only one that we're taking. We pay for our website and server costs and my StreamYard and stuff like that. So if you want to donate to help keep this fight going to Veterans for Freedom, please do so there. But the other option, the support fund, has been migrated over to the Accountability Project. And this is an official not-for-profit that allows us to collect money so that we can fund lawsuits. We got to embrace lawfare, because that's what they're doing to us. We got to step into that battle space as well, as I have been with my own court cases and so on and so forth. They tend to take up a lot of my time and take me away from podcasting, but that is the priority, the key battle space. We got to take these people to court. So great project, and nobody deserves more credit for it than Drew, of course. That brings us all the way back to our quote. Jeff Loeb, who's a fiction writer, so I don't really care, but it's a good quote. And he says, "The measure of a man is not how he gets knocked to the mat, it is how he gets up." And nobody has done that more famously than Donald Trump did just the other day. Just incredible. I guess, I'm like, Jesus, man, like I said before, like, this guy is one hell of a loving patriot, and it's so inspiring seeing the way that he's reacting to all of this. So it just really kind of hits me in the feels, I gotta say. Holy smokes. Okay, guys, that's it for me. I will be signing off here, and I'll say good evening to some of our regulars here. Cindy was just saying, good to know. I'll be watching closely, so I think I think you're talking about the updates coming out there. So I appreciate you, Cindy. I didn't get to. I saw you sent me a message there. I'll get to that on the next one. So, and Ellen is saying, as I have to run, Jeff. Thanks for the great show. It's my pleasure, and I'm about to run myself. Allison is saying, great show. Thank you, Allison, for tuning in. I do appreciate the Americans, especially. So, and Cindy is saying, thanks, Jeff, as always. Much love. Fantastic show. Peace. #winning. Yes, we are. We're going to win this thing. Marianne is saying, thank you, Jeff. Great show. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in. Canada Veritas over on Rumble is saying, thanks, Jeff. And Kevin84 says, both sides are corporate, not corporate, and natural. You are a little lost. You can't pick a side other than freedom. Well, I am picking the side of freedom. And Garbad on Rumble is saying, great show, Sergeant Major. Share, everyone. Yes, please, everyone, share this out. Rob is saying, long show, but great show. Worth it. Peace out. Well, thanks. I'm glad it was, worthwhile and I didn't just ramble on here. And Dwayne is saying, have a good one, folks, and giving us the okay. Right on. That is the Donald Trump. What they were trying to say, that okay, like this was okay until Donald Trump took office. And then they tried to say that it was white power. That's how absolutely deranged these people are. And, those of us who've been paying close attention, we saw it kind of right off the bat. But, it takes a watershed moment like the one that we saw over the weekend, I think, to wake others up. And I do think that is happening. So I am just motivated and inspired by what I saw out of Donald Trump on this one. And I'm more optimistic now, I think, than I have been in a while. So really great stuff, really historic times. What a time to be living through, right, guys? Holy smokes. But that's it for now. And until next time, stay frosty and stay safe out there.
Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? It's all I ever have. Redemption songs.